tried to show you just how much I care. I'm tired of words and I'm too hoarse to shout. But you've been cold to me so long. I'm crying icicles instead of tears. And all I can do is keep on telling you I want you. I need you. But there ain't no way I'm ever gonna love you. Now don't be sad. Don't be sad, 'cause 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Now don't be sad.
Oh, inject it into my veins. I know it's not a one-hit wonder, but as usual, there's a method to my madness this morning. You are responsible for the one-hit wonders on this show today. All Request Friday, the one-hit wonders edition. We've got a bunch of requests already in. We will play them for you through the show today and fit in as many of your one-hit wonder requests as we can before we call it a day this afternoon at 1. But I chose to start with that classic from Meatloaf, and I'm sorry I had to cut just a little bit short. You know Meatloaf's music, right? It tends to be of the epic and or elongated variety. So I had to cut a little bit of the beginning, lest I be accused of not doing my job today and talking enough. 2 out of 3 ain't bad, sings Meatloaf, to which I respond, says you, loaf.
I want to know if your head's going to explode tonight with the Leafs, the Jays, and your Steelers playing tonight.
That was our good friend, Preston Paul, Farwell's Force member number 45, when he called the show yesterday. Is my head going to explode, Paul? Yes, it very much did, but perhaps not for the reason you think. My Leafs were playing. My Steelers were playing. My Blue Jays were playing. Those are literally my 3 favorite pro teams. My favorite team of all, my absolute favorite team of all is the Kitchener Rangers. But in the pro sports leagues, those 3 teams, the Leafs, the Steelers, the Blue Jays, those are my teams. And with the Leafs playing, and with the Leafs winning, in overtime no less, you know what we get to do the morning after a Leafs win, right? We get to celebrate with a little AM on AM in the AM.
Panarin works across ice now with a chance. Blocked. Riley starts back. Riley and Matthews 2-on-1. Across the line with Nylander closing. Nylander in. They score! Nylander to Matthews. Overtime winner.
That's right. Nylander to AM. Austin Matthews, the greatest hockey player in the world today, gives us a little AM on AM in the AM. That game started before the other games that I was interested in last night, featuring my favorite pro teams. And so after that, I was back and forth between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Toronto Blue Jays. And of course, the Steelers got into a back and forth game with the Cincinnati Bengals. And with 2 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in the game, the Steelers scored the go-ahead touchdown. I was so excited. The Blue Jays were winning 7-2 on one channel. The Steelers were up by 2 points. No, we were up by a point, 31-30 with 2 minutes to play on another channel. And then the Cincinnati Bengals did this.
Snap good, hold good, kick good.
I don't care if your kick is good, Cincinnati. Paul, who called yesterday asking if my head would explode with all of those sports, my head almost exploded at that moment. We had the lead. We had the lead with 2 minutes and 12 seconds remaining. And we could not stop. The Pittsburgh Steelers defense, the steel curtain, could not stop Geriatric Joe Flacco and the Cincinnati Bengals from marching down the field and kicking the winning field goal. My Steelers lost, and my head darn near exploded. But you know what? Who cares, says I to myself as I flipped back to watch the end of the Blue Jays game, which by that point was not even in doubt anyway. But what a game. And to my buddy Joe, who likes to rip on my buddy Vlad Guerrero Jr., keep on ripping, Joe. Keep on ripping.
1-1 pitch is hit high in the air, right field, tracking backhand zone at the warning track, leaps at the fence, it is gone! Vladimir Guerrero Jr. with his 5th home run of the postseason, and the Blue Jays strike back to take a 6-2 lead in the 7th.
And it just went on from there. Vladdy's 5th home run. Jays win 8-2 last night. They tied the series with Seattle, 2 games apiece. So now it's a best of 3. We're getting at least one more game in Toronto, Guerin, ding-dang-teed. But Vladdy with his 5th postseason home run. That, my friend, is a new Blue Jays record. And as much as I'm enjoying Vladdy's performance, and as much as I'm loving reminding my buddy Joe that it was a good contract and he can stop talking about all the zeros around Vladdy, this game last night was not about Vlad Guerrero Jr. This game last night was about 41-year-young Max Scherzer, Mad Max on the mound, goes into the 6th inning, and there was a moment where manager John Schneider came out of the dugout to talk to Max Scherzer, and then I don't think John Schneider wanted to stay out there on the mound because Max Scherzer gave him a look. You could read his lips. He's like, whoa, what's this? And then Max Scherzer told the manager to go sit down.
It was a big moment in the game right there. It was just a situation I was going through it in my head. I understood where the game state was, knew how I wanted to attack, and then all of a sudden I saw Schneider's coming out, and I kind of went, whoa. Like, I'm not coming out of this ball game. Like, I feel too good. And so we had a little conversation that basically I wanted to stay in the ball game, but just with some other words involved. But, you know, I just knew I was strong. I knew I wanted the ball. I knew I could get outs in this situation, and I just wanted to stay in. I wanted.
I've been waiting for that all year, for Max to yell at me on the mound. I was joking with him. You know, I've been waiting for that moment since our Zoom call in the offseason before we signed him. Loved it. There's a little more of that in between to send him back out for the 6th, too. Talking about how we don't talk to him when he's starting. I definitely talked to him, and that was another fun conversation in the tunnels. Yeah, it was awesome. I thought he was going to kill me. It was great. You know, he locked eyes with me, both colors, as I walked out. And it's not fake. That's the thing. It's not fake. You know, he has this Mad Max persona, but he backed it up tonight. The infielders had a good laugh, too, out there, and he got the job done.
He did get the job done. The Blue Jays got the job done. I thought Thanksgiving weekend was the time for feasting. What a buffet of sports last night. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. I'm so ticked at that Steelers loss, though. But the Blue Jays win, and that performance from Max Scherzer makes up for it a wee bit. Maureen is on the phone with us this morning. Good morning, Maureen.
Good morning. I heard you yesterday talking about your 3 teams there.
Yes.
But when I heard you playing that song, the first thing I thought of was that it's now a best 2 out of 3. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad. We just got to win 2 more.
You know what? That's a glass half full way of looking at that song. Well done, Maureen.
Okay.
Okay, enjoy your day. That's true. We win 2 out of the next 3. That definitely ain't bad because that means the Blue Jays will be going to the World Series. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. For my favorite teams, 2 of the teams won, 1 of the teams didn't. And as much as Meatloaf made it a nice sentiment on the show, 2 out of 3 ain't, or in the song, 2 out of 3 ain't bad. You imagine? I think if there had been a clean sweep for my teams last night, my head might have exploded. I'd just be passed out on the floor in the basement, not doing this show with you today. Speaking of those conversations yesterday that Maureen just mentioned when she heard me talking about my favorite teams yesterday, got another call. I think, honestly, we had... I loved the show yesterday. I mean, I loved the show every day. But yesterday, I don't know what we were doing right, but we were doing it right, you know? And I'm hoping we can repeat that performance today because some really good conversations on the show. And as always, you know, no matter how much, if it's a 10 or 11 or a 12 out of 10 on the day and I go home, I'm always thinking back on the show that was. And I was thinking back yesterday afternoon on a call we got towards the end of the show from Terry. So if you missed it, I want to play that for you this morning, just a little bit of it, because Terry was talking, like many of you have since Larry Fedoruk was filling in for me last week when I was away. And I guess Larry got a call last Friday from one of our regular listeners and frequent enough callers named Alex, and they got into a big old back and forth about free speech, and Alex didn't seem to understand that indeed we do have free speech, freedom of expression enshrined right into the document that is our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And Larry and Alex went back and forth quite a bit, and Alex was quite frustrated and called Larry some names, and Larry can take it and all of that. But then Terry said something when he called in yesterday afternoon that really got me thinking yesterday after the show. Here's what Terry had to say.
I don't know Alex I don't know him from my elbow, but what I find interesting is he went off on Larry. Poor Larry couldn't defend himself. Well, he did defend himself, but he was put in an awkward position. But the thing I find funny is, if you don't like to listen to someone, and you call him a moron, and you think he's not worthy of being on the radio, then why are you listening?
And that's a fair sentiment, and I've expressed that myself before. Like, if you don't like what you hear, the beauty of it is, like, I have the freedom of my expression to share with you, express to you my views, my thoughts on various issues. And if you don't like them, you have an equal freedom to go somewhere else and turn away. But I want to take this and kind of turn it on its ear and say that, again, to Terry's point, if you don't like what you're hearing, why are you listening? I'm glad you are. Like, I really am. Because you see, what happens if you're not is you end up in some echo chamber somewhere else where you are only listening to things that you agree with. And that's not going to help anybody, right? So I'm so glad that Alex, because when he was having that debate with Larry last week, he said at one point, I thought Mike was bad. So even though Alex thinks I'm bad and doesn't agree with some of or much of what I say, he's still listening. And I'm so glad for that. A good buddy of mine said some time ago, and it really struck a chord with me, especially watching news in the United States, right? We know that CNN leans left. We know that Fox leans right. And my buddy is constantly saying, why don't Republicans go on CNN? And why don't Democrats go on Fox? And I know some do, but for the most part, on Fox, you're going to get the Republicans and their point of view. On CNN, you're going to get the Democrats and their point of view. My buddy was always saying they should go, like, if they were smart, they would go on the other channel, because that's the only way to reach a new audience, right? Everybody on CNN is leaning your way, Democratic senators. So what's the point of going there? You want to reach a new audience? Go somewhere else. I applaud Alex for listening to something that he doesn't always agree with. And I hope you are similar. Surely we don't agree on everything every day, but you stick around, you engage in the conversations. And listen, I don't agree with everything you say either, but I like the opportunity through this show and these conversations to learn something every day. And that's what I love about doing this. One of the things yesterday, we'd been talking much of the week, and we will talk again during the Friday 4 Roundtable today from 11 until noon about the goings-on in Cambridge and the Integrity Commissioner's report and Councillor Adam Cooper's behavior. And I had felt as though the council reached a pretty good compromise with, instead of docking Councillor Cooper's pay, he's going to be mandated to take some sensitivity training in the next 3 months. I thought that's a pretty good outcome from all of this. And then Louisa D'Amato wrote an opinion piece in the Waterloo Region Record yesterday that made me think, and she talked about thought policing and forcing treatment on somebody. And, do we really want to just make everybody think the same way and behave the same way, et cetera? And that gave me pause. And I learned something from that, and we got to talk about it. So, Alex, good on you for listening to a show, even though you rarely, if ever, agree with the hosts. If we're not listening to some other points of view, it is a very boring world indeed. So let's learn something from one another.
It's the final countdown.
All right, let's get to your Farwell Show 5 for this Friday morning, the 17th of October. Number 1, we are expecting to hear today plans by the federal government that will strengthen border security. Prime Minister Mark Carney set to tour a border crossing facility in the Niagara region today, and his public safety minister will then hold a news conference. The Liberals' new border security bill includes several measures previously announced, including a tightening of the immigration and refugee system, enhanced information sharing on sex offenders, and stronger controls on chemicals used to make illicit drugs. Number 2, Prime Minister Carney met yesterday with Ontario Premier Doug Ford, and during the chat, the Premier was encouraging the Prime Minister to, quote, hit back against U.S. tariffs and Stellantis moving production out of Brampton. But Prime Minister Carney struck a different tone.
We start from a position where we have a better deal than any other country in the world with the United States. 85% of our trade is free. With the exception of Mexico, which has significant free trade with the United States, the deals the Americans have signed with everyone else has tariffs on the core of the trade and then higher tariffs on the strategic sectors. So we're starting from this stronger position, but we're also very acutely aware and very focused on the fact that we can make it better. And so we will do everything we can to make it better. There's times to hit back and there's times to talk, and right now is the time to talk.
Times to hit back and times to talk. This is a time to talk. Number 3 on your Farwell Show 5 this morning. Carter Hart, one of 5 members of Canada's 2018 World Junior Hockey team that was recently acquitted after a sexual assault trial, is joining the Las Vegas Golden Knights. The NHL team announcing the move in a statement yesterday. Hart remains suspended by the NHL until December the 1st, but he was able to sign with the team starting Wednesday while waiting for reinstatement. Number 4, tomorrow marks the 15th annual Walk a Mile in Their Shoes fundraiser in Cambridge. It's hosted by the YWCA of Cambridge, and it raises funds to combat gender-based violence. Walk a Mile in Their Shoes will take place from 10 until 1 at City Hall Civic Square in Cambridge. And number 5, on your Farwell Show 5 this morning, Hearts Open for Everyone, or HOPE, is unveiling a new community mural tomorrow in Breslau. The mural is a quilt-inspired design created by Elmira artist Jennifer Horst, and it intertwines Mennonite and Indigenous cultural roots reflecting the shared values of heritage, healing, and belonging. The mural was painted by the community, for the community, during the 3rd annual Multicultural Festival of Elmira last month. The mural will be unveiled tomorrow at its new permanent home in Breslau, at the Region of Waterloo Library branch there. The celebration runs from 10 until 2. And that is your Farwell Show 5 for this Friday morning, 17th of October. Something we like to do on Friday mornings as we keep it a little light. Good vibes only, right? Here on the show. I call it the not $1 million question. It's because you don't get $1 million for getting the answer right, but gosh, are we ever impressed with you? So if you want to impress us this morning, why not take a stab at this one? And this is one, I have a feeling you're going to know the answer. So I have a backup, not $1 million question ready to go. But it was something new that I learned during Oktoberfest this past week. In fact, just a couple of nights ago. I'm at So You Think You Can Dance, and I was one of the judges. So before the dancing begins, they kind of sequester us judges in this back room, and we hang out and shoot the breeze for a while. And along with us was Oktoberfest ambassador Katie Kneisel, who, by the way, is from beautiful Wellesley Township. I ran into Wellesley Mayor Joe Nowak and his lovely wife at So You Think You Can Dance on Wednesday night, and he wanted to make sure I knew that our Oktoberfest ambassador this year, Katie Kneisel, is from Wellesley. So there you go if you didn't know before. So we're sitting around the room, and Katie suddenly asks, "Hey, do you want to do a 0.5 with me?" And Angie Hill, who was one of the judges with me, you know Angie from that other radio station in town, right? She's only been there 30 years. Angie and I look at one another like, what a 0.5? So I'm going to ask you the same question. If I asked you if you would like to do a 0.5 with me, what is it that I'm asking you to do? I had no idea. I was this many days less too old when I learned what a 0.5 was. If I asked you the question, do you want to do a 0.5 with me? What am I asking you to do? That's your not $1 million question for this morning. Take your best shot at it on the Mike Farwell Show. Give me a call. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Oh, there's a crazy little shack beyond the tracks, and everybody calls it the Sugar Shack. Well, it's just a coffee house and it's made out of wood. Espresso coffee tastes mighty good. That's not the reason why I've gotta get back up to that
as you know, I love me some sugar. Just don't put it in my coffee, okay? I like my coffee black like my soul and so bitter I can chew it. But this is One Hit Wonder Day on your All Request Friday. And Doug wanted to hear Sugar Shack by Jimmy Gilmer and the Fireballs. So there you go, Doug. Thanks for making your request on All Request Friday, One Hit Wonders edition. Something else we do on Fridays, little something I call the not $1 million question. I learned this just the other night from our Oktoberfest ambassador, Katie Kneisel. She said, you guys want to do a 0.5? The heck is a 0.5? So that's the question I'm asking you. If I ask you, do you want to do a 0.5 with me? What am I asking you to do? Kyle is with us on the phone this morning. Good morning, Kyle.
Good morning, Mike. I think I'm totally wrong now that you say this, but I was going to guess being a pen pal because you can get 0.5, size of writing instruments. Like the lead is 0.5, the ink 0.5, like when you write something. So that's what I was thinking, but I could be wrong.
Really? I didn't even know about the size of a writing instrument.
Yeah, like a pen. If you go to Walmart, it says like 0.5 size, like the 10, or 0.7, right? Thinner and thicker, the ink size.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, but yeah, pen pals.
Okay.
So, yep.
I love the guess. Not the right answer, but great guess, Kyle.
All right, thanks, Mike.
All right, thanks a lot. I learn something new every day. It's not even 9:30 yet. We're not even 30 minutes into the show today, and I've learned something. That's not it. If I asked you if you wanted to do a 0.5 with me, what is it that I'm asking you to do? Paul is on the phone with us this morning, too. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning. I was actually calling about something else.
Of course you
but
are.
I'll take a shot at that. A non-alcoholic shot.
You see, I was thinking the same thing. That was my thought. Also incorrect, but I like where your mind went.
Okay. Well, anyways, what I really wanted to call you about was the fact that there was quite a hoo-ha last week with Larry and whatnot, but I have to say that as an individual, I believe that you not only support censorship, but you practice censorship, and I can prove it.
Go ahead and try me.
Go ahead.
See? I knew it. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And you know what? Even though in the big picture, I'm not proud of it, Paul's right. I do practice censorship in only that way. It is the team that shall not be named for a reason. I'm sorry. You're right. Be as angry at me as you want to be. But that team name will never be uttered on this show. It is only the team that shall not be named. Thank you, Paul, for proving me to be the dictator censor that I am. Emphasis on, I won't even go there. An update from the 570 News Center is coming up, and then they call it America's pastime, but is it really Canada's game? We're talking some baseball, and we'll take more of your guesses as well before 10 on the not $1 million question. If I ask you to do a 0.5 with me, what am I asking you to do? This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Yo, VIP. Let's kick it. Ice, ice, baby. Ice, ice, baby. All right, stop. Collaborate and listen. Ice is back with my brand new invention. Something grabs a hold of me tightly. Flow like a harpoon daily and nightly. Will it ever stop? Yo, I don't know. Turn off the lights and I'll glow. To the extreme, I rock a mic like a vandal. Light up a stage and wax a chump like a candle. Dance. Crush a speaker that booms.
All right, I think there's only so much Vanilla Ice one can take in a day. Thank goodness that was a one-hit wonder, but Craig wanted to hear it on this All Request Friday, One Hit Wonders edition. Craig says it's perfect for a Kitchener Rangers game day, which indeed it is. Both perfect, ice, ice, baby, for a hockey game, and it is indeed a Kitchener Rangers game day. But that's tonight. Rivalry weekend opens with the Rangers taking on the London Knights. This morning, I think we're all still basking in that blue hue, that glow from Seattle last night. After a big win for our Blue Jays coming back to tie their series with Seattle at 2 games apiece. The Mariners win the first 2 games. The Blue Jays win the next two. And baseball, as you know, good connection here to hockey because we are so passionate about hockey in this country. It's our game, right? Just as much as baseball is America's game, or at least America's pastime. Or is it baseball America's pastime? Andrew North is the director of the Center for Canadian Baseball Research and a volunteer at the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum, and joins us for a conversation this morning. Good morning, Andrew.
Good morning, Mike.
What evidence do we have that perhaps the first recorded game of baseball in North America actually happened in Canada and not all that far from us here in the region of Waterloo?
That's right. It was quite close by. It was a place called Beachville, halfway between Ingersoll and Woodstock. And the story starts with a gentleman named Adam Ford, who was the mayor and doctor in St. Mary's, where the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame is located. In 1886, he wrote a letter to Sporting Life magazine in Philadelphia. That's one of the popular weeklies of the time. And in the letter, he described in great detail a game that he had witnessed as a child in his hometown of Beachville. He gave the names of the participating players, many of whom were his neighbors, of course. He outlined the shape of the diamond and described the materials played and outlined where the game was played. It was greeted with some suspicion south of the border, but later on, academics and historians were able to verify much of his account and is now accepted as kind of a milestone in Canadian baseball. It was celebrated by both Canada Post and the Royal Canadian Mint with issues of stamps and coins.
I guess one of the big challenges in verifying that account, Andrew, is that Dr. Ford wrote it so long after the game actually had been played.
That's exactly right. There were two problems with it. One was the suspicious clarity of his recollection. It was 48 years after he witnessed a game, and he was only 7 years old when he claimed to have witnessed it as well. That was another suspicious thing. However, the academics and historians, when investigating, were able to confirm things, and one of the keys was the date of the game was June the 4th. Ford recalled that it had been a holiday, and June the 4th, by statute of Upper Canada, was a holiday in recognition of the birthday of King George III. It was called Militia Muster Day or Training Day, and it was intended to be set aside for military training, walking up and down, presenting arms and things like that. What happened in practice was, after the requisite military practice, it devolved into a bit of sort of like a town picnic without the liquor control. So it evolved into celebrations and much strong drink, but also very much recreational activity, similar to what we see today at picnics, involving games like baseball.
So, given this evidence and the ability over the years to verify Dr. Ford's account of this game in Beachville, Ontario, Ingersoll, Woodstock area here in southwestern Ontario, what is it that gives the Americans such claim to this game? Why do they still claim it as their pastime?
Well, I don't think it intends any disrespect towards Canada or anywhere else. I think that the Americans that have been responsible for recording the history are really only interested in the history as far as the continental U.S. is concerned. So the claim that baseball is an American game is not. It's not wrong, it's just incomplete. It ignores two important aspects. One is the roots of baseball as a simple folk game in the southwest of England in the 18th century. That's how far back it goes. And the second one is the parallel evolution and development of the game from its folk roots to the more modern game that we're familiar with, that happened on both sides of the border here in North America. So it really, the evolution, the development should be described as North American rather than American. Besides the Beachville game in 1838, we have a record of another game in 1819, also on the 4th of June, which is a key. Training Day was called in Hamilton. And then in 1854, the very first team in Canada was formed in Hamilton. Teams from Guelph and London were part of a new league in 1877 called the International Association. And all of these developments were happening purely as a result of Canadian agency. And by that I mean there was no American intervention spurring this along. We were doing this ourselves at the same time that similar developments were happening south of the border.
I'm a big baseball fan, Andrew. I will temper that because I know I'm talking to a full-on baseball nut here as the director of the Center for Canadian Baseball Research. But I grew up in a world where I knew the story of Abner Doubleday. In fact, I had the opportunity to visit Cooperstown, thoroughly enjoyed it, and just down the street, basically next to the Baseball Hall of Fame, is Doubleday Field. I sat there and watched a Little League ball game that just happened to be going on while I was there. So what of the Abner Doubleday story, if indeed we have these documented games being played in Hamilton and Beachville going back to the early 1800s?
Well, the Doubleday story is now known to be a complete myth. Doubleday was nowhere near Cooperstown in 1839. He was a cadet at West Point. But the myth has endured to the extent that it became the bane of the existence of John Thorne, the Major League Baseball's official historian. He told me that even as recently as 1994, when Bud Selig was commissioner of baseball, Bud Selig himself believed the Doubleday myth, and John Thorne was tearing his hair out trying to convince even the commissioner of baseball that this is all balderdash. So
that's great. And you know what? A game with a history this rich is sure to have stories like that. I mean, we could go on and on about all of the great, and of course, the great Canadians, starting with my favorite Fergie Jenkins, and it just goes from there.
Yes, again, that's southwestern Ontario.
Yes, sir.
If you're going to have somewhere to celebrate I won't say the birth, there's no such thing as birth, but the hotbed of development of baseball in Canada, it should be southwestern Ontario because it's Hamilton and Woodstock and Guelph and places like that where and Beachville, where baseball sort of evolved in Canada.
Before I let you go, I would naturally be remiss, Andrew, if I didn't ask you about our Blue Jays right now. And I say ours because they are Canada's team. What does that do for the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum? Is there a resurgence in interest? How much are you enjoying this run from Canada's team?
Oh, there's always more interest when the Blue Jays are involved. Certainly, I'm only a volunteer there, so I can't really speak for the hall. But I know that the interest is greater, and the hall opens up its main viewing room to the public when the Jays are in the playoffs, so that people can go in there and watch on the big screen with the other fans. One thing I'd like to say about the Blue Jays was in 1992 when they won. The victory was celebrated as a great one for Canada, but the first international baseball championship, which is not quite true, because in 1877, when I mentioned that London and Guelph joined the new International Association, London won that league title, the first Canadian international baseball championship, and the last one until the Jays in 1992. And for those of you rooting for the Jays now, go for it, but have a bit of sympathy for the opponent, the Mariners, because remember, the Mariners have never won. And if you're a Jays fan and complaining about not having won since 1993, well, you could be the Leafs.
Hey, Andrew, I think that was an unnecessary curveball. Come on. I understand that you're a San Francisco Giants fan. How did that happen?
Well, I came by it naturally. My family happened to be living in San Francisco in 1958 when the Giants moved west from New York. So the entire family has been Giants fans for all of the San Francisco existence.
It's a lot of fun having this conversation with you, even though you threw a little chin music at me there with the Maple Leafs reference. Appreciate you joining the show, Andrew. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Andrew North is the director of the Centre for Canadian Baseball Research and a volunteer at the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum in beautiful St. Mary's here in southwestern Ontario. I should note, because Andrew mentioned that they open up the big viewing hall to watch Blue Jays games as a Blue Jays community at the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum. Next Tuesday, the 21st, at the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum, they are going to have a premiere screening of Who Killed the Montreal Expos, a documentary of that. And look, I think many of us who are baseball fans in this country still feel the sting of the way the Expos not just left Montreal, but left Major League Baseball. No more Montreal team. Now we have just that one Canadian team with the Blue Jays. And we're all justifiably excited about it, but it was a pretty sad end to a team in Montreal that, boy, they had some great teams that just never quite got there. But lots of fun. Anyway, Who Killed the Montreal Expos? The documentary will screen, a premiere screening at the Canadian Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum next Tuesday, if you are so inclined. Can you tear yourself away from watching our Blue Jays right now? It's been a lot of fun watching the Blue Jays, and imagine that, even though that famous, still needing to be debunked myth of Abner Doubleday, former Commissioner Bud Selig, as recently as 30 years ago, was still full in on the Abner Doubleday story. Really, it seems as though, and it's generally understood to have been, the first game of baseball in North America played in Beachville, Ontario, small little town in southwest Oxford, Ingersoll, Woodstock area, not far from where we sit here and have this conversation today. America's pastime, but Canada played the first game on North American soil. Go Blue Jays, go, by the way, as well. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm still looking for the answer to our not $1 million question today. I learned this from Oktoberfest ambassador Katie Kneisel the other night when we were sitting around at So You Think You Can Tanz, the event at the Alpine Club. The judges all hang out in a back room before the dancing begins, and so we were all there, and Katie asked us if we would like to do a 0.5. I had no idea what a 0.5 was. I didn't know what she meant. So my question to you, the not $1 million question today, if I ask you if you would like to do a 0.5 with me, what am I asking you to do? Take your best shot at our not $1 million question on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
In life for free, but you can give them to the birds and bees. I want money. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want. Your love gives me such a thrill, but your love won't pay my bills. I want money.
When I was just a wee lad and I started getting into music, my brother a little ahead of the curve, I remember his Kiss albums very well, and the big Kiss poster that hung in our shared bedroom. Little nod there to the late, great Ace Frehley, whose passing we just learned about. But I started collecting music, and I bought 2 albums, vinyl. I was right around that age where cassettes were just coming into vogue, and I started getting a lot more cassettes after that. The 2 albums I bought, Kool and the Gang, because I wanted the song Celebration. The rest of the album, not my cup of tea at all, but you're a 10-year-old kid. You go out and buy albums. And then I bought a compilation called Rock 81, and that song right there by the Flying Lizards, Money, by request from Mark on this All Request Friday One Hit Wonders edition. That was on the Rock 81 compilation. I believe it was a K-Tel compilation back in the day. Takes me back. It is a one-hit wonders edition of the All Request Friday show. Also on Fridays, we ask you a not $1 million question, because if you get the answer, we don't give you $1 million, but we sure as heck are impressed. And today I'm asking you, if I asked you to do a 0.5 with me, what would I be asking you to do? Jim is on the phone. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Mike. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. Thank you, sir. How are you?
Great.
Good.
Finer than frog's hair today.
I beg your pardon?
Finer than frog's hair.
Finer than frog's hair. I have not heard that before.
Another one for your list of savings from me. I still don't live in Conestoga.
That's okay. I'm going to pretend you do.
Great. After having my children and my grandchildren in dance, there's a way of starting off your dance routine if you're practicing or whatever.
Okay.
And they would, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, they would say 5, 6, 7, 8, and then start.
Huh.
I think that's the answer. I'm not sure.
It's not the answer I'm looking for. If they call that a 0.5 as well, I've learned something, but that's not the answer I'm looking for.
All righty.
All right, Jim, thanks for the call. Great to hear from you from Conestoga or Conestoga. And don't worry, we're going to give you the answer before the news update at 10. Conservative Charlie, good morning.
Good morning, Mike. I've got the answer, and this should be worth $1 million.
I can't wait to hear it. Okay.
1970s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s. You're pointing out 5 consecutive
I can't. I know we're conservative. Charlie and Paul this morning, really on thin ice. We heard Ice Ice Baby as part of our All Request Friday One Hit Wonders edition. Charlie was going to go down the path of all of the Stanley Cups won by the team that shall not be named. He's got it right. It had to be where he was headed. At least that's where I thought he was headed. That's why I cut him off. I decide what speech is free on this show, okay? I do. Marino, good morning.
Hey, Mike. Did you get your answer yet to your 0.5 question?
I did not. Do you have it for me?
Taking a selfie at the wide angle on the phone.
Marino, we are all very impressed with you. You nailed it. Well done,
if you
sir.
Look at the phone, it's got the 0.05 or something like that as your, I don't know, road or whatever it is. But anyway, that's it.
How do you know this?
I take a few selfies, the odd one.
Okay. All right. I'm going to watch for them on your social media now.
No way, pal.
Thanks, Marino. Have a great day. Okay. That's exactly it. If you open your camera on your phone, you'll see, I'm going to do that right now so I can describe it to you correctly. Right at the bottom, at least on my iPhone, there's a 0.5 and a 1x. So the 1x is the default, but if you go to the 0.5, it gives you a different perspective, wider. I don't know what to call it. Your arm looks freakishly long when you do it. But Katie Kneisel, our Oktoberfest ambassador, asked us on Wednesday when we were at So You Think You Can Tans at the Alpine Club, fantastic Oktoberfest event. She said, you guys want to do a 0.5? And me and the rest of the judges looked at one another and thought, what kind of shot is that? In fact, it's a selfie at the 0.5 perspective. And Marino knew the answer to our not $1 million question today. An update from the 570 News Center coming up, and then we're only weeks away from Remembrance Day. Before that, we get into the annual Poppy campaign to support our local veterans. But what about that Canada Post issue or those issues? How's that impacting the Poppy campaign? Conversation coming up on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
Everybody was kung fu fighting. Those kids were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. But they fought with expert timing. There were funky Chinamen from funky Chinatown. They were chopping them up. They were chopping them down. It's an ancient Chinese art, and everybody knew their part. From a fainting to a slip, and a kicking from the hip, everybody was kung fu fighting.
That, of course, is Carl Douglas and some kung fu fighting. All Request Friday, One Hit Wonders edition. That one from Andre on the show today. We are here on a Friday, 17th of October. Exactly 2 weeks today is when the annual KW Poppy campaign will begin. But it's having a bit of a bumpy start this year, thanks to all of those woes at Canada Post. Stan Howie is the chair of the KW Poppy Fund and joins us to talk more about it. Stan, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
And along with Stan, Gord Moore, who's also involved with the fund, joins us on the show. Gord, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mike.
Can you give me a little background here, Gord, on the Poppy campaign itself and how Canada Post plays such a pivotal role in this?
The Canada Post delivers 150,000 envelopes to the residents of Kitchener-Waterloo starting on October the 31st. And it's very important that these envelopes get out to our residents of KW to make sure that we're able to get the donations that we need to look after our veterans, number one. Number two, the hospitals that we donate to as well, and other veterans programs that are available for them, that we make sure that they're financially viable.
Stan, can you give us some background on these investments that you make thanks to the money raised through the Poppy Fund? Where do these funds go?
Well, last year alone, I think we gave something like $126,000 to the local hospitals. Plus, we give all to the veterans. Any veteran that needs help or anything, they come to us, and we look after that. And then we have youth programs and that we sponsor. So we spend a fair amount of money every year that we give out.
And that money, of course, comes through this annual campaign, Stan. So what do you do in the absence of support from Canada Post this year?
Well, I've been talking to the local 560 there, and they said that the poppies will go out this year, that there won't be a problem. And we've been trying. We looked at some other flyer companies and that to get them out. But if they don't get out and they don't get back, like last year, we got them out there all right, but we had trouble getting them back in. And a lot of people today will not do nothing on the computer, like e-transfers or anything like that. So our revenue was down a little bit last year. So hopefully this year it's going to be a lot better.
Gord, what should folks be looking for when this mailer does come? I tell you, it's something that definitely stands out to me, and it's always a good reminder that it's that time of year to send in that donation. But if you're going to be able to get them out, what should we be watching for?
You're going to get the envelope, white envelope with a poppy and a sticker poppy. Anyone that wears leather jackets or nice clothing that don't want to put the pin through, they can use the sticker poppy on that type of clothing. Also inside the envelope, there's a card that explains where the monies are donated to, and how to contact the KW Poppy House.
How much do you hope to raise through the campaign this year?
Well, I'm hoping that the KW Poppy Fund is able to raise more than they did last year, because our donations were definitely down. And to put a figure on it, I'm just pulling a straw out of my hat here, saying 160,000 would be fantastic. So.
Stan, can you give us a little sense of what this money means to our veterans as well? I know you've talked about where the money goes, but for those who benefit from it, I mean, how much does the support from the community mean to you?
Well, it means 100%. We need 100% support from the community, right, to help our veterans. Like today, we have a lot of homeless veterans out there, which I'm really shocked to hear that the numbers that the veterans that we do have out there are homeless. So a lot of that money goes towards helping them find places and whatever we have to do to get them off the street.
Besides the flyer that will come, the envelope that will come in the mail, Gord, are there other ways that we will be able to support the KW Poppy Fund this year?
All the veterans clubs in Kitchener-Waterloo will be tagging also, with the support of the cadet corps in the region. So we'll be at the malls, we'll be at standing in front of the stores, the LCBO and the beer store as well, and also Costco.
Any of those donation boxes at local coffee shops, etc.?
Yes, those boxes will be delivered on the 31st after the first presentation of the Poppy for the region of Waterloo, which Stan will be doing on October the 31st.
What is that ceremony like, Stan?
Well, we get all the dignitaries together, and it's a very short ceremony, but it's just that we present the poppies to the first people, and then the campaign gets started. It's always done up in front of the Waterloo Legion there, which is where the poppy office is situated. So anybody who would like to attend, they're welcome to come.
And that's right there on Regina, right?
It's on Marsland.
Marsland. Oh, right. I gotcha. And do you always do this last Friday of October?
Yes, it is. Okay. Every last Friday.
Yep. And this year it just turns out to be the last day of October. But when you launch the campaign, is that when we start wearing our poppies?
Yes.
Okay.
You can start wearing your poppy on the 31st.
Good. It's good to know because we get that question often, right? When do you start and when do you stop wearing the poppy?
Actually, you're supposed to stop wearing them after Remembrance Day. But you still see a lot of people wear them after, so what do you do?
Well, that's just it. And I guess it's not the worst thing in the world to keep that little memory on our lapel, right?
That's right.
Gentlemen, really appreciate the work that you do. Thanks for being on the show this morning, and here's to a successful poppy campaign this year.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Stan. Thanks, Gord. Stan Howie is the chair of the KW Poppy campaign, and Gord is one of the other members involved in it. $160,000. It is an ambitious target, but look, especially now, and let's give credit where credit is due. The local Canadian Union of Postal Workers chapter is working with our legions and our veterans to make sure that these envelopes get delivered. So they should be arriving in your mailbox on October the 31st, or certainly we would hope not long after, despite the rotating strikes that are going on right now. But you can understand the concern when that mail-out is such a big part of the annual Poppy campaign. So watch for it on October the 31st or shortly thereafter. Watch for those boxes that will be at convenient places where you're buying a coffee or anything else like that in shops around town. Watch for our veterans standing outside LCBO outlets, big box stores, malls, you name it. And let's support our veterans and show them that we not only remember, but we care as well. This is a campaign that I have a very easy time getting behind every year. And there will be, of course, the ceremonies around the region on Remembrance Day. And when those ceremonies are done on November the 11th, you can remove that poppy. But when the poppy campaign officially launches on October the 31st, great time to start wearing that poppy. It'll work out really well because we'll be at a Kitchener Rangers game that night. And we've always got an opportunity there with a Remembrance Day game coming up. And we'll put our poppies on starting this year on October the 31st. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, how about chocolates and charity? We'll combine those two things for you next on the Mike Farwell Show. This is 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
I heard you on the wireless back in 52, lying awake intently tuning in on you. If I was young, it didn't stop you coming through. They took the credit for your second symphony, rewritten
Well, Heather, Farwell's Force, member number 92, wanted to hear the Buggles on this All Request Friday One Hit Wonders edition. So there you go, Heather. Video killed the radio star. First video played on MTV. When they launched that stuff that they thought was going to be the very end of us here on the radio. But look at us all these decades later, still kicking. We kick at the darkness till it screams daylight or something like that. We talked a moment ago about the Poppy campaign, the annual campaign, which helps raise money for local veterans. And I said it's a campaign that I can easily get behind. And from one such campaign to another, how about combining my love of chocolate with my love of literacy and supporting a local organization by buying chocolates so they can keep running their literacy programs? It sounds like a match made in sweet tooth heaven, at least to me, as we welcome Chris Prosser to the show, Executive Director at the Literacy Group of Waterloo Region. Chris, good morning.
Morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm excellent, thank you. How are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure, as always. Can you give us a little background on what you do at the Literacy Group?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. The Literacy Group, or TLG, we support adults in the Waterloo region with the lowest levels of literacy. We do that by developing their reading, writing, math, digital, and workplace skills. So currently, 1 in 4 adults in our region live with the lowest levels of literacy, which often means that they have lived with some of the biggest challenges we see in our communities, such as unemployment, poor health, isolation, and homelessness. So in addition to serving these adults and working with them on their goals to reach the goals that they want to reach, we also find ourselves working more on the foundational skills with newcomers, with seniors, and a lot more youth are entering our programs as well. So we are very, very proactive in the community with other support providers such as food banks and mental health services. So we're really being proactive to support the core need, the core cause of some of the biggest issues in the community, which is literacy. So that's what we do.
How are you funded?
So we have a number of funders, recognition with the provincial governments, with some United Way, City of Cambridge also help us, but we do rely on fundraising and donations as well. And often, as a lot of service providers will tell you, fundraising is getting more challenging. What with work getting harder and demand of their services getting harder. So this annual fundraiser, our chocolate sale, is really important to us. Not only because of the funds we can raise from it, but also the fact that it's a festive, fun event, and it works with a local partner too.
That's one of the parts I do love about it, Chris. Your 4th annual chocolate fundraiser now, and that local partner is Reed's. I don't think I need to say any more about how much we've always enjoyed their candies and chocolates over the years. So how can we now help support this effort, your 4th annual chocolate fundraiser?
Yeah, so we're really proud to be back with Reed's again. They're very generous to us. And we hope to set some records with a $6,000 sale goal this year. We know we're very mindful that finding local Canadian-made products is important to the people of Waterloo Region. So our campaign is, like I said, is working with Reed's. And basically, if you go to our website, theliteracygroup.com, you'll see a link there which will take us to the site where you can see all the goodies that we're selling. And because a portion of every sales will go directly to keeping our services running free for adults in the community. And we've made items from all price points, starting at $4.50. All our items include tax. And there's also that portion that goes to support our services is also tax receipted as well. Orders over $100 or more will go into a draw to win a $30 box of chocolates, and we will also deliver those to your door for free on orders over $100. The Treat a Learner is a very popular one. So for just $5, you can purchase a solid chocolate snowman, which will go directly into our hands of our learners, which we know is an incredible gesture, which is appreciated by them and their family.
You know, you must get some incredible stories, and it must be so inspiring to see some of these adult learners coming through your doors and then what they are able to accomplish after they exit when they build these skills.
Yeah, I mean it's small successes like most nonprofits. As you know, you've been a big fan of the literacy group, which we appreciate, and you've seen some of our successes as well. But you know, whether it's someone who wants to learn to read to their grandkids, pass their citizenship test, or go for that. Gain their confidence in their workplace skills to go for that job at work that they've been looking for. It's small successes, and if a fundraiser purchasing a couple of boxes of chocolates can make such a difference to an individual, making that difference in their life, and there's an effect that goes on to their family and their friends. That one small change will make such an important change to other people in life, and such as getting them off the streets, finding them employment, supporting their confidence, their mental health. It's literacy, unfortunately, is overlooked at the table when it looks at the bigger issues in our community, such as housing and addiction. So, big part of this is also to raise awareness that we are out there. We're a core response to the long-term effects, the long-term challenges in our community. And just by raising literacy levels, just by one, you're able to see billions of dollars return in the community. So, as well as selling chocolate and making sure everybody's got their sweet tooth fulfilled this Christmas, we're also there to raise awareness of the importance of that in our community.
And you've certainly done that through this conversation this morning, an excellent outline of what it is you do. I am a big fan of your work, so please do keep it up, Chris, to you and the entire team. That website you mentioned, theliteracygroup.com, we can put in our order as of now, and we've got until November the 12th to do so?
4 p.m. November 12th, and then we're looking to make those deliveries or pickups on November 24th and November 28th. But if someone does make an order, please let us know that you heard us through Mike's show, and I personally like to drop it off and say thank you for listening.
Really appreciate that, Chris. Thanks again for everything you do, and here's to a $6,000 plus sale this year.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Chris Prosser is the executive director at the Literacy Group of Waterloo Region. It's their 4th annual chocolate fundraiser. Look, you can be like me and be a selfish son of a gun and just get some Reed's chocolates for yourself, right? Simple. Or consider why we're doing this at this time of year. I know it is this time of year, as much as I dislike the winter, but we're coming up on the holiday season, and who doesn't like to have chocolates around when guests come over, or maybe just put a little bow on it and gift it to a coworker or a client or whatever it happens to be. And so since you are likely to do that anyway, because don't we always indulge at the holidays, either for ourselves or gifting to others, making sure sweets are available to our guests, you name it, why not do it through the Literacy Group's campaign and help support the excellent work that they're doing in our community? And a special shout out to our official Farwell's force. You let them know you heard about it on the show. And Chris would like to deliver personally for a thank you for getting the word out through this program. I know what you're made of. I know you'll want to support this. The website is theliteracygroup.com. Orders being accepted right now. An update from the 570 News Center is on the way. And then it's Friday. Game day, baby. The Coach's Show coming up next on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. That is the song you got to hear 6 times, a season high number of times. on Tuesday night at the Memorial Auditorium as the Rangers scored 6. That's the song you hear when the Rangers score. To Guelph's 1, a 6-1 win for the Rangers after Guelph scored the first goal of the game. Then Kitchener came back with 5 in the second period, added another in the third for that 6-1 win. And now we're entering a weekend, something new the Ontario Hockey League is doing that I love. It's called Rivalry Week. So each team is paired against a big rival, and for the Kitchener Rangers, that means the London Knights are in town tonight. Every Friday morning at this time, we're joined by Rangers head coach UC Ahokas for the Coaches Show. Good morning, UC.
Good morning.
You just heard Matt mention it in that newscast, Rangers Knights. There's something about it. Is there something special, a little more special about games versus London?
No, yeah, they're for sure the really good rivalry games, and I know the whole city kind of wakes up to them, and hopefully and I think we'll have a great crowd tonight at the Odd, and the audience help us a lot. But yeah, they've been 2 years in a row now, the champions, and now we have to keep pushing. It's going to be a tough game tonight, but I know our boys will be ready.
I know it's early in the season, but because they are the back-to-back champions, does this give you a sense? Is it a measuring stick at all to say, hey, if you want to be the next champion, this is the team you have to be able to compete with?
Of course, every year is a different year, but all in all, I see them. They always play structured, and they're a well-coached team. So it's going to be a good measuring point for us, just where our game's at. They defend usually really well, so see where our offense is at. And all in all, like always, the games are against London. They're exciting, and everybody gets pumped for them.
You had a game on Tuesday night where Jack Pridham picked up 4 points. Christian Humphreys had 3 points. They were really working well together. How important was it for you to see that as a coach coming into a weekend like this?
Oh, yeah. They've been, I wouldn't say they haven't been playing bad, but they haven't been, I think, in their level. And just lately, few couple games, I think they're getting back to what they can really show and what they can do. And the Pridhams are a 20-year-old, Humphreys 19, so your older players have to play well and show it on the ice that they can do things. And I think yesterday or Tuesday they really picked up their game.
Some of those older players, more experienced players that you have not yet had a chance to play this season. Ellenis, Campbell, Vermeulen still on the sidelines. Any timetable yet you see on their return? It's a surgery where they're coming up to, and they actually just had again. They went through the doctors, but it'll still take a little bit of time. Like it is just how the recovery works, but they've been practicing and they've been working hard. And when they get cleared, of course, they're a huge impact for our team. But it is what it is, and now we have to play without them, and I think it's giving really good opportunity for guys to show what they can do. The younger players like Avery Anstis and Weston Cameron and Hedrick, and all in all, like there's a lot of guys who've got now a lot of minutes, and we can see where they're at their game. Are these guys that you're building to for future years? Are they going to be able to find a spot, compete for a spot on this year's team?
Well, that's what they're competing for. Who wants those spots in the team? Who wants to play? Because those three guys, they'll be coming in the lineup for sure. And they're older guys, and they've showed like Luke Ellenis and Campbell. They're both are one of our captains. So and Vermeulen had a good season also, a little bit more experience brings size. But then it's time for the boys to show who really wants to take the spot. And I think Ellis has really picked up this game from the last season. And Arquette, of course, he played long, but he's also had a big jump. And but then again, the season's still early, and we haven't even played 10 games yet. So it's still a lot of games to go, and there'll be a lot of opportunity for the boys to show where they want to be.
Tonight, game number 10, and you mentioned earlier, UC, that London plays a very structured game. You kind of know what you're going to get from them. They always perform very well for Dale Hunter. What do you have to do to be successful tonight?
Well, first of all, you have to defend well, but then again, you have to, all our 5 guys, we have to attack, and our offense has to be good, and you have to be ready to go to the net and to get those get goals from the hard areas. So just all in all, we need all 4 lines playing well today.
And you got that on Tuesday night, so another, kind of good warm-up for coming into this weekend.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I didn't like our first period in the first at Guelph, but after that we picked it up, and I think we haven't still seen good 60 minutes, and that's what we need against London.
It's always a fun time, especially when London's in town. Thanks for this, UC. We'll see you at the rink tonight.
All right, thank you.
UC Ahokas, bye-bye. Head coach of the Kitchener Rangers joins us every Friday morning at 10:30 to get you ready for the game tonight. I'll tell you what, I might as well have slept in my Kitchener Rangers pajamas last night. That's how excited I get for Friday nights, especially when it's a Friday night versus the London Knights. And by the way, just in case you were following the standings and enjoying the early part of the season, I think it was week 3 before the London Knights even got their first win. I was getting messages from fans. A fan in Owen Sound sent me the standings when London was in last place and Owen Sound was in first place. And everybody, I get it. London is the team. The bar is set by the London Knights in the Ontario Hockey League. So there's all this celebration when the London Knights aren't doing very well. And they had a slow start to the season. And I remember telling all of those folks, hey, just hang on a second. It's very early. And it's still very early. You just heard UC Ahokas say, not even 10 games in. Tonight is game number 10 for the Kitchener Rangers. Tonight is game number 9 for the London Knights. And oh yeah, by the way, that London Knights team that didn't get its first win until week 3 of this season has now won 4 games in a row. And they've got points in 5 straight. And when you look at the standings, overall in the Western Conference, Kitchener Rangers 4th, London Knights 5th. So I hope you really enjoyed that time, that very brief moment in time where the London Knights were at the bottom of the OHL Western Conference standings, because they are the London Knights. And here they are, a 4-game winning streak coming into Kitchener. Now, the Rangers also have points in 4 of 5 games, and they're coming off back-to-back impressive wins, allowing only 1 goal in each of them, a 3-1 win last Saturday in Saginaw, that big 6-1 win versus Guelph on Tuesday night. I don't think the offense could have woken up at a better time. It was a lot of fun to watch Christian Humphreys and Jack Pridham do their thing. Avery Anstis gets his first Ontario Hockey League goal on Tuesday. Lots to be excited about. The special teams were great. The Rangers got a shorthanded goal. They got a power play goal. They got a goal playing 4-on-4. They did it in pretty much every way you need to do it. 5-on-5 naturally on Tuesday night. So the Rangers were very good then. They will have to be very good tonight because we are into rivalry weekend. So you get the London Knights at the Memorial Auditorium tonight. And then what do you get on Sunday? The London Knights at Canada Life Place in London. So a big weekend for the Rangers, and maybe just a wee bit of a measuring stick here as the Rangers sit 4th in the Western Conference and 2nd in the Midwest Division. Do not forget about those Owen Sound Attack, who are 2nd in the West and 1st in the Midwest Division, 3 points ahead of the Rangers. The Guelph Storm sit 4th in the Midwest behind Owen Sound, Kitchener, and London. And then Erie is kind of bringing up the rear, and they're bringing up the rear of the Western Conference, in fact. Tough year for the Otters. Over in the East, former Rangers head coach Jay McKee and the Brantford Bulldogs continue to lead the way. They are the only team remaining in the OHL, the Brantford Bulldogs, without a regulation loss so far this season. And when we look at some of the leaders in the league, a name that you will know well, Jordan Chiron of beautiful Ayr in North Dumfries Township. He is 5th place in points overall with 13 so far this season, and Jordan Chiron of Ayr, Ontario is number 1 in goals scored with 9. So just keep that in mind. You'll also find Rangers goaltender Christian Kirsch in the top 5 goaltenders in save percentage with a .923. He's been getting better game in and game out, has Christian Kirsch. Rangers Knights tonight right here on 570 News Radio. We will get your Harris Law pregame show underway. Josh Piercy and I at 6:30. That will lead you into all of the action on the ice. And after that, it's a Friday night. It's a home game. And after every home game, Josh and I stay a little bit late so we can talk to you about the game that was, the OHL in general, maybe even talk a little bit of Blue Jays tonight after the Rangers game, because why not? You get it all right here on your home of Kitchener Rangers hockey. Rangers Knights tonight. Pre-game coverage starts at 6:30 with Josh Piercy and I. We're going to take a break. When we come back, a little bit more on those Blue Jays. Is this man in Kitchener the biggest Blue Jays fan in the city? You'll meet him next on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Fridays are all request on this show, and our theme this week, one-hit wonders. Denna wanted to hear The Verve and some bittersweet symphony. One-hit wonders edition of All Request Friday here on the Mike Farwell Show. It is also the morning after the Blue Jays tied their American League Championship Series with the Seattle Mariners, a big 8-2 win behind a strong pitching performance from Max Scherzer last night. And the Blue Jays are now dead even. It's a best of 3 to see who gets to go to the World Series. Jim Schonewill of Kitchener describes himself as a Blue Jays super fan. Don't believe me? Check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/The Mike Farwell Show. Take a look at Jim's house, and then you'll see what we mean. Jim joins us to talk about the Blue Jays and his collection of paraphernalia. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Mike.
First of all, how you feeling, buddy? How you feeling after that big win last night?
Absolutely out of this world. I have said that the Blue Jays would go into Seattle and sweep them and come back to Toronto and take one more and get back into the World Series, something they haven't done since '93. And like every other Jays fan out there, they've had their fingers crossed, and I think that that's what's going to happen.
I love it. I love that optimism. I've been with them all the way through, too, feeling good this morning. For you, Jim, where did this super fandom get started?
Well, I will say it started at a young age. I've been following them ever since my grandfather really got me into them. And that would have been back in, even in my young teenage years. And then, I was pictured in the KW record back in '92 when I decorated my house when they were in the World Series the very first time. And it's just carried on. And then my collection has just gotten bigger and bigger, as you can see through the pictures that I sent into the radio station. And it's never wavered, right? This is an amazing team, especially this year. If you look at them compared to previous years, I would compare this team as comparable to the '92 team or the '93 team, or even better, because the way this team is gelled together. It's been a very fun team to watch right from spring training. Every member of this team has contributed 1 through 9. It doesn't matter if they've come up from the minors or they've been on this team right from the get-go. whether it be Luke's or it doesn't matter who it's been, Kurt or Gladdy, now setting a record for the most home runs in a postseason. I love, even Varsho, how he runs out of the box every single time, Mad Max yelling at Schneider last night when he went to the Mao. You could tell this team, even when they're down and you think that they're out, when it was looking like they weren't going to make the postseason early part of the season, they always are fighting back. When they went on their early part of the season, when they started sweeping series, like when they swept in Seattle, then they came back and they swept in Los Angeles, and then they swept the Yankees. It's just been an amazing year to watch this team gel together.
Just looking through the pictures that I've posted on our Facebook page, again, for anyone wanting to look at them, facebook.com/The Mike Farwell Show, our show page on Facebook. Any idea, Jim, how many items you have of Blue Jays paraphernalia?
I don't. I have lost count. I'm always trying to add something new. I have even decals that I haven't even put out yet. And I'm always trying to figure out something new to get. Some of the ones I've even created my own curtains because I couldn't find what I wanted out there on the marketplace. And some of my own banners. But no, I think I've lost count of how many things I actually have.
Do you collect it all? Do you collect it all yourself, or is it gifted to you along the way? A little bit of both.
Some of it's been gifted.
Yeah.
Some of it has been my own collection. But I never turned down a Blue Jay item. Put it this way. I unfortunately haven't been to any games this year because I was back in a car accident back in 22. But I doesn't mean I haven't missed a game on television. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But I haven't missed a game. I sit there and there's times where my wife will be talking to me or my daughter, and I kind of tune them out when the game's on.
Well, how does the family feel about this big collection? I mean, you're sitting on a Blue Jays couch, for crying out loud.
I know. And you know what? They kind of say sometimes, well, at the end of the season, they'll say, okay, it's time to put the couch cover away. But, you know what? And I'll say, okay, maybe. But, you know what? It's as long as the Blue Jays are playing, the season is going on, the couch cover is out. But after the season, I'll put it away for maybe a little bit. But you know what I mean? As long as they are playing, the couch cover is out. But I enjoy it, and this is my one hobby, right? I know that other people watch other sports. I know that you, like you said, you watched your three teams yesterday, the Leafs, the football team, and the baseball team. Unfortunately, your football team lost. But, mine is straightly baseball, and that's 365 days a year because I watch the MLB network, and I'm always trying to find information about the Blue Jays, whether they're making a move during the off season or what have you, right?
It's a beautiful collection. It's a beautiful collection.
And I'm trying to expand it all the time.
Jim, you're going to need a bigger house.
I might need one. You know what? My other hobby is Christmas lights at Christmas time, but I haven't done that in a couple of years. But my thing is I just enjoy the Jays, and they're always been a fun team. And baseball is how do I say this? It's a magical game to watch.
It really is. It really
And
is.
some people say it's a boring game to watch, but no, it's a magical game to watch. And you know what? The ball can be nice to you one day and the bat can be nice to you in one day, but it can be very hard on you another day.
It certainly is. Let's hope it keeps being nice to our Blue Jays as they complete this comeback. Jim, got to get to
here's what I
news,
think
but
that-
thanks for being here.
Yep, you're welcome.
Okay, bye-bye. Jim Shonewell. I guess we could have talked for a full hour. We got to get to the news update. Check out the pictures on our Facebook page. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
I'm too sexy for my love, too sexy for my love, love's going to leave me.
Okay. Enough, Fred. You said it right. Right, said Fred. All Request Friday, One Hit Wonders edition. So to our guests with the Friday 4 Roundtable, patiently waiting. I have no control over what song gets played when. I think this one was directly for Bentley, though, because he's a sexy beast, I'll tell you. That one by request from Clinton on this All Request Friday here on the Mike Farwell Show. Fridays also mean that Friday 4 Roundtable, a discussion of the week's big stories. And we are pleased to be joined this morning by Linda Ockwell-Jenner, the president of MotivationalSteps.com. Linda, good morning.
Good morning. I want to know how you like in married life.
I love it. I should have done this 11 years ago, Linda. What was wrong with me? I absolutely love it.
Well, congratulations again.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. John Hendry is with us, a professional speaker, former school board trustee here in the region. John, good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael. So we'll see you tonight, and I love your shirt.
Thank you. I thought I had to represent the Blue Jays today, and I am looking forward to seeing you tonight, sir, at our Kitchener Rangers game. What a way. What a day. What a way to end the day with those Rangers tonight. And the aforementioned sexy beast himself, Bentley. Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing really well, thank you. How about yourself?
I'm good. I was going to ask you about your choice of T-shirt today. I was thinking it might be the Steelers.
Listen, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, Steve. 2 out of 3 ain't bad. My Leafs won. My Blue Jays won. My Steelers, I don't even want to talk about the end of that game.
Well, at least I didn't ask you about your lawn.
Thank you. My lawn is perfect. The street in front of the house, I'm not so sure about. Steve Bentley, by the way, is a managing principal at Northern River Financial. Okay, with the pleasantries out of the way, let's dive in. No doubt the biggest story in our community this week surrounds Cambridge City Council and Integrity Commissioner's report. After almost a dozen complaints were filed against Councillor Adam Cooper for something he shared on Facebook earlier this year. The Integrity Commissioner said it should be a 10-day docking of Councillor Cooper's pay. Council instead decided to go with mandatory sensitivity training. They're sending their fellow councillor to training within the next 3 months. Linda, I'll start with you. Did Cambridge Council get this one right? What do you think?
Well, are they going to send all the politicians, the MPs and Premier Ford and Mr. Trump to sensitivity training? Really? Come on, let's think about this, guys. I do think it's a bad thing what the councillor done. I don't know why he did it. I'm surprised there were only 12 complaints because this is a topic that's very much in the news most every day. And it's not just about that meme and that kind of, picking at a certain demographic. This happens all the time with people who have same-sex marriage, with people who may be a little bit obese and overweight. There's a lot of insensitive people out there, and it often people get away with it on the TV, in the media, on Facebook, all those kinds of things. Maybe they're trying to make a point with the councillor because obviously he works with the public. But then again, what are we trying to tell the next generation? What are we trying to tell them about everybody's equal. You know, we shouldn't do things like this. Should they dock his pay? No. Will the sensitivity training help? Probably, but that doesn't change the way he probably really thinks. Or did he just think it was a funny joke? You know, why did he do it? That's the first question. And if we keep our thoughts to ourselves and don't hurt people, that's good. On the other hand, if a counsellor really has a grudge or something against a certain type of person or people, then that is a problem, because then how do they act as a counsellor fairly?
I think you're getting at one of the roots of this issue, which is the standard to which someone in public life is held when it comes to their behavior. John Hendry, you've spent considerable time in public life. What do you make of this?
Well, I can tell you sometimes counselors and trustees have a difficult time separating their private life with their public life. And unfortunately, as an elected official, you live in a fishbowl. Everything you do in your life is open to the public. And is he entitled to his opinion? Of course he is. Did he use bad judgment? Yes, definitely. Because when you're in that position, you have to keep those types of opinions private to yourself. Making offhand comments, no matter how innocent or no matter what the reason was, is not a very good idea for an elected official. It's always going to come back to haunt you.
I think it's an excellent point about how it comes back to haunt one who is in public life, keeping those thoughts to themselves. As Louisa D'Amato pointed out in the Waterloo Region Record yesterday, though, the flip side of that is now you know exactly who Adam Cooper is, or at least another part of who Adam Cooper is and what he thinks, and maybe you make a choice at the ballot box based on that when the election rolls around in a year's time. Steve Bentley, your thoughts?
No, I went through that article we shared yesterday, and I kind of took something out of it. He said he objected to the recommendation. Some people don't like to be questioned or have humor applied to it. And then he said he didn't make the meme. He's an elected official. It's not easy to separate, as John said, your personal versus your public views, but it was not appropriate. And he objected to what was said. You know, I just think that if somebody is sensitized to actually file a complaint, then there's grounds for it. When there's 12, a lot more. So I think with his, response, and this thing became a much bigger issue than if he hadn't, of course, done it, but if he had dealt with it right in the beginning instead of going through this whole process to expose an underlying aspect of counsel in Cambridge. I mean, I was listening to the two gentlemen who are a bi couple who were, I think, at the inference of this whole situation yesterday on the radio. And, when they came to the council meeting, Adam got 15 minutes to share his opinion, share how he thought about it, share about the consequences. But the people who actually filed the actual complaint, the initial complaint, did not get any opportunity to speak as to, the issues involved. And I think what I did hear, truth or not, is at the end of his presentation, the mayor of Cambridge went up and gave him a big hug. So in a way, it's condoning everything that happened. You can believe or think what you want as a personal perspective, but when it comes to being a public official, you're representing your constituents. And as such, you need to hold yourself properly accountable to everybody that's in that demographic. And there's going to be various people who look at different things. So as a joke, it's not a joke to a lot of people. Some people just pass it. Some people are seriously offended by it. It's not for us to critique who should or how well, they should take it in and be affected by it. We just need to understand that it wasn't appropriate. And I think the actual recommendation to take his pay and donate it to a comparable charity in terms of the issues involved would have been a good step. I don't think the sensitivity training is enough. And he's already said that, whatever. And that's not appropriate. I think he needs to make a public apology.
I think you're onto something there too, Steve, when you talk about this not being, intended as a joke. Why can't people see humor in the situation? I'm sure some can, but to your point, For some, that is harmful, hurtful, and recognizing that as a public official, I think, is an important step here. And we'll find out. Hopefully, Adam Cooper had said to us that he will come on the show after that council meeting on Tuesday. So we're working to get his participation in the show Monday morning, and we can talk to him more about that. But a good start to our roundtable this morning with Steve Bentley, Linda Ockwell-Jenner, and John Hendry. After this quick timeout, Brampton is not going to have the Jeep Compass made there because Stellantis says we're going to Illinois. So Donald Trump's tariffs are working, right? Our elbows are down and domestic production in the States is going up. We'll find out how our roundtable feels about that as we continue the Mike Farwell Show this morning, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. A little bit of Der Kommissar after the fire for Nate, number 8 on the official list of Farwell's Force members. It's an all-request Friday, one-hit wonders edition. And on Fridays, never are those different perspectives more evident on the show than during our roundtable discussion. With us this morning, John Hendry, Steve Bentley, Linda Ockwell-Jenner. John, I'll start with you on this one. As we learned this week, Stellantis is not going to produce the Jeep Compass in Brampton after all. Instead, repatriating that, we might say, to Illinois, south of the border. Ontario Premier Doug Ford met with Prime Minister Mark Carney yesterday, said we have to hit back against the U.S. on this issue. And Mark Carney said, well, there's a time for hitting back and there's a time for talking. This is a time for talking. What do you make of this, John? Are Trump's tariffs in the U.S. working? Is this a sign of that?
Well, I believe they're working. I agree with what Melanie Jolie is saying right now in her position, that there was a commitment by Stellantis to stay in Canada, to build jobs, to build automobiles, and they've reneged on that promise. And worse, they've done it at the expense of Canadians, Canadian workers, Canadian taxpayers. And I think it brings up the bigger issue that I believe Carney is aiming for. Over time, we have to develop our own strategy with automobiles and manufacturing, and doing it from China, having Chinese cars built in Canada. I think that's one of the answers. The strategy, you're not going to, the country of almost 500 million people, you're certainly not going to be able to declare war on like an economic war on them. They're going to win every time. So we have to, as Carney's saying, you have to build the future. And I think they're going about it the right way. I think it's terrible that they've reneged on their commitment. But it may come back to bite them. Sometimes I agree with Ford, but he's sometimes just a little off the cuff, and he says things, putting his foot in his mouth before he has a chance to really think. But that being said, I mean that was one of my first thoughts too. Go get them, but you're not going to win a battle against somebody that big. So you might as well start building your own economy little by little. It may take a long time, maybe not even in our generation, but over time, we're a larger country. I think we've got a lot of potential, and we just have to build on that.
You make a good point, John, on the breaking of that commitment by Stellantis, which included provincial government funding for that plant near Windsor, the Stellantis plant there, which Doug Ford has now said they're not going to get a penny. But we'll see how this plays out. Right now, Steve Bentley, what do you make of this decision?
If you look back into it, we knew that this was going to happen when they stopped the retooling of the plant in February of this year. So the writing was on the wall. They're a large corporation. I mean, they aside from just being Chrysler, and they've got a lot of commitments, and so they feel that dealing with the current environment they're in, the economic environment, and they've got to go to the States. We can't fight that. They have shared that there is future plans, but nothing has been specified, so we really don't know. But I guess I echo in on John's point. You know, we can't fight Trump. We can't fight the United States. And I use that word loosely because I don't believe the current government really truly represents a majority of the people there, although he was elected as president. I was listening to the fact that Ford and the Ontario provincial government have launched a whole series of radio ads in the States with some words from Ronald Reagan back in the late 80s talking about how tariffs are short-lived and how they're not in any way a good move in terms of what the country has done. And they're going to fail eventually. But we need to diversify. We need to look beyond just being in the same neighborhood as United States and not friendly in that, because I'm not sure what's going to happen when we transition from the Trump administration, hopefully sooner rather than later. But our relationship has changed. And even if we look at potentially having that relationship continue going forward, it's changed permanently. And I don't think we're going to get back to where we were. I think Carney is right. He's not firing off and trying to retaliate with you can't fight that battle with a company or a country the size of the United States and tariffs just changing and being added to. And he's just going to come back and be retaliatory in terms of if we try to take that approach. And I think we don't necessarily know as public the underlying discussions that are going on currently with the United States in terms of trying to create that trade environment that we're both going to be able to move forward with. So, you know, the retaliatory approach just isn't, I think, the right way, because all you're going to do is make Trump angrier and he's just going to dig down and do whatever he can to make it even worse. So I think moving to like international relationships, as Carney has been flying around the world and talking to leaders in different countries, is actually what a good leader of a country should be doing in this kind of situation.
I've been wondering about that provincial advertising campaign as well, targeting Republican states, because it's my opinion that Reagan Republicans, if you will, of the late 1980s are not the Trump Republicans of today. It's just a different Republican, I believe. But some have pointed out maybe that message will reach those who are getting more than they bargained for as Republicans under Trump. We shall see. But anyway, it's an interesting campaign. Linda, your thoughts? I mean, is this a sign that Canada's automotive industry is in trouble? Trump's tariffs are working here.
Well, what goes to the States now doesn't necessarily stay in the States forever, if you think about it. Does that make sense?
Sure. I think it's to John's point about tariffs being short-lived, you know, and that's what yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Basically, we've all got to promise Trump something. We've all got to stroke his ego. But it takes a long time to get a business into any country, let alone the States. So I think we're all playing the same game. We're all playing the game. Yeah, we'll build our cars there. Yes, we'll do this. Yes, we'll do that. It doesn't mean that they have to stay there forever. But Stellantis is in the same boat as everybody else. They've got to keep somebody happy. They can't keep everybody happy. So why not keep Trump happy now? Because he's not going to be around forever. But Mark Carney, my favourite person now, you know, in the world, my favourite man, did speak to the head of Stellantis, who told him that the automaker is looking at finding a new model to fill the idle Brampton plant, but that discussion would require more trade certainty. So a bit of a promise, but they gave him an assurance they would provide support for the 3,000 workers affected at the Brampton facility, and they would consider other vehicles for the plant. They're looking at different models. And I just feel sorry for everybody in this picture. Everybody's doing the best to try and keep Trump happy and keep the head above water. I agree with Steve as well, where he says we've got to branch out and do our own thing. I hope we never go backwards after the Trump period and we never go back to, you know, making sure we rely on one country ever again. It's a big mistake. So I think Carney's doing a good job. He's playing a game of chess. Nobody else could do it better. As I've said before, if they can, I'd like them to show us how.
It's a good point. Yeah, go ahead, John.
No, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, as an aside, a perfect example to me is the contract for the F-35. This is something that could hit Trump where it really hurts, because if we move to the Gripen out of Sweden, and they're going to guarantee thousands of jobs in Canada, they're going to obviously employ Canadians to do that work and the research and the actual manufacturing. It's going to cost the Americans over $50 billion in lost revenue and production. Plus, it's going to cost them jobs. In my opinion, even if Trump were to drop tariffs today and guarantee that Stellantis will stay in Canada and he's going to help us build again, we've known from experience that you cannot trust him. He's a pathological liar. He seems to make decisions on the fly. So I think we've got to go on our own. We've got to start doing our own things. It may take a long time, but I think it'll work.
Probably better for the long run, for sure. John Hendry, Steve Bentley, Linda Ockwell-Jenner with us on the Friday 4 Roundtable this morning. Tougher on crime legislation and GO trains on the weekends. Still to come with our Friday 4 Roundtable this morning. This is the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
In the USA, in the USSR. We are ordinary people leading ordinary lives. We use also simple ways to get to simple happiness. We have ordinary problems and ordinary fears. We go take care of our business. Life goes on. Nothing changes. We don't understand much about those big shot politicians. Who's got most of them firecrackers to blow up in our faces? Like bet my shirt that way back there in the USSR. People think like you and me, hoping that goes on and nothing changes. So I say, we are ordinary people in a star. There's no color, red or white.
They played Cool House at Bingham's last weekend as part of Oktoberfest celebrations here in the region. They are The Box. The song is Ordinary People on this One Hit Wonders edition of All Request Friday here on the show. Mark wanted to hear that one, and it was actually Mark's request that inspired the One Hit Wonders theme on the show this week because, as I mentioned, The Box played Cool House for Oktoberfest last weekend at Bingham's. Our Friday 4 Roundtable, also a long-standing feature here on the show, 11 until noon every Friday, where we gather some different perspectives on the big stories of the week. With us today, Steve Bentley, who's managing principal at Northern River Financial, Linda Ockwell-Jenner, the president at motivationalsteps.com, and John Hendry, a professional speaker and author, as well as a retired public school board trustee. Steve, you get first crack at this next one, and I guess it comes along with our first crack at weekend GO train service. It'll start in late November, and we are told this is the next step towards eventual all-day two-way GO train service between the region of Waterloo and Toronto. But let's start with what we are going to get. Some weekend service, can you tell how, this is dismal to me? I'm sorry. Who gives a tinker's darn about a couple of trains on a Saturday? I don't care one bit, but this is for you, Steve Bentley. You can start us off. How are we doing transit-wise here in the region of Waterloo? Getting well served, are we?
I just want to make a point about the song you just played. I think that would be a good song to play at the Habitat for Humanity Waterloo Region Big House Party coming up.
All right, let's do it.
So pass it on. I'm going to take the mayor's words here, calling it a transformative moment, reduce commute times, unlock new opportunities for economic growth, job creation, and quality of life. We have to understand there's only so many train tracks, right? And so obviously the big stumbling block has been trying to either find space or build and extend the ones that we have available, right? So I echo your point, though, in terms of the infrastructure. Yeah, for a few trains on the weekend, I'm not sure where that demand is, right? I know people are commuting, daily during the week, during the business week. And that's where I'd really like to see more of an emphasis in terms of providing the services. But, I don't know. Do people travel on GO Train to Toronto from Kitchener-Waterloo on the weekend? If there is a demand for it, great. There's other things. And so I take the Ontario government's word with a little bit of restraint because I'm still waiting on Highway 7.
Stop it.
I'm not going to get into that. I'm just saying, how many years have we waited for that? But we also have to recognize that public transit is an important part of the overall infrastructure of transportation for people, whether they're going to work, whether they're going and traveling, whatever, right? So, maybe building a tunnel under the 401 might not be a bad idea too. Sorry. So I'm in agreement with it. I really don't truly have a grasp in terms of what this really means. And I know they're trying to extend GO Train services peripherally around Toronto, such as to Barrie and on the east side as well. So it remains to be seen. We've seen these announcements, we've seen promises, and they just seem to go off into the air sometimes. So I'm hoping that this actually does result in some positive opportunities for people who need public transit from Kitchener-Waterloo into the city.
I'll tell you what this means, Steve. This means SFA, which stands for Sweet Fruit All, just in case you're curious, but come on with your coming on. Yes, people will use it, but the goal is hourly service every day, and they're throwing a couple of trains on the track on Saturday and Sunday. Big flippin' deal. Says I. But I can says stuff like that because our local dignitaries, see, they have to celebrate these things so they don't tick anybody off, and then maybe we get another present someday. Linda, I got to stop myself. This is one of my pet peeves. Your thoughts, Linda, on how well served.
Well, let's not talk about leaf blowers. Go ahead.
Thank you.
You guys.
How well served, Linda, are we by transit?
You are so funny. So, I think it was 2 years ago, Dave and I were in Rome and we caught a train to Venice, and it didn't cost us our mortgage or anything like that. It was very affordable. It was a very easy process to do. And on occasion, we thought about catching a train or a GO train into Toronto to visit an event or do something like that. And they either don't come back at the right time, don't get there at the right time, or it's too expensive. So as a person who doesn't like the way the public transport works over here, am I excited about a couple of GO trains popping backwards and forwards on a weekend? I'm not excited, no. I've been on GO train, I think, once many, many years ago when I was on TV in Toronto. But Dave drove me to Burlington because he was working there then, and then I got a train from there. Couldn't tell you how much it was. It was an enjoyable experience. And the other thing I'd like to see them do, whether it's GO trains or real trains or just the electric buses or whatever we've got now, is people who come as visitors, give them like free transport to get backwards and forwards, which they do, as I've said before, in Switzerland, in Geneva in particular. If you stay at a hotel or you go into an event, they give you a free pass to use the transport. That would bring a lot more people to here. So we might need more GO trains in the future if our tourist section heats up a lot or something like that. But personally, I think it's just like a drop in the ocean. It's not going to excite many people. I don't think it's one of those things.
We love to talk about the European examples, and I understand. I mean, our geography is so much different, but when you hear those stories, I visited a friend in Luxembourg many, many years ago for £6, and I took a train in. For £6, I could have a ticket for any mode of mass transportation I wanted for an entire day. A bus, a streetcar, a train that connected to different cities. Like for £6, I could have any transit option I wanted for the whole day. John Hendry, your thoughts on the GO train announcement?
Well, without repeating what you said, Mike, I tend to agree with you. I first of all, I don't see it lasting very long because you cannot sustain something that people aren't using, and for only 2 trains a week. I've traveled extensively in Japan on a few occasions, and there, to me, is the ultimate sort of structure of a transit system, because you have to go by people that work, because they're the ones that are transient all the time. So in Japan, you can take a high-speed train, you can take a regular train, and no matter which one you take, when you get off that train, there's another mode of transportation right there. to take to your next stop. Taking a GO train, I'm sorry, you've got to make all sorts of arrangements to get to the thing, to get from the train to wherever you're going. But to your point, 2 trains on a weekend, and with the infrastructure that they have, it doesn't mean anything to me at all, but I can't imagine people using it too much.
And I worry about that too, John. You're right, because if it doesn't get a lot of uptake then, because it's not serving us all that well, how does that maybe even derail, if you'll forgive the turn of phrase, the plans to expand the service down the road? Nonetheless, my apologies to each of you. I was a very bad host there. This is for you, not me. I am honestly so passionate about this, and it drives me bananas. But I'll do better on the next topic.
To venture spleen.
I'm gonna say I'm tired of having carrots dangled in front of me. I'm gonna say what John just said. And my son just came back from 6 months attending university in Japan, and the GO train. Jeez, I didn't believe I said that. The actual bullet train to Osaka from Tokyo was his lifesaver. So we need something
you nailed
structured here.
This is the carrot.
And it's entirely elevated.
Yeah, right. Not at grade. There's a whole other conversation with phase 2 of light rail. Anyway, the carrot dangled is a really good analogy, I think, Steve, because that's what this is. Here's a couple of trains on Saturday, a couple of trains on Sunday, and eventually, maybe we'll get to that next step. Anyway, I promise to each of you, I'm going to do better in the next segment. I'll introduce it and then shut the HE double hockey sticks up and let you talk. Steve Bentley, Linda Ockwell-Jenner, John Hendry with us on the Friday 4 Roundtable this morning. That next topic, Linda has just said on this segment already this morning, her favorite person in the world, Mark Carney. Well, he says next week legislation is coming that's going to make Canada tougher on crime. How do our panelists feel about that? You'll find out as we continue the roundtable. It's the Friday 4 on the Mike Farwell Show, 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. That is Dexy's Midnight Runners by request from Paul in Preston on this All Request Friday One Hit Wonders edition. Come on, Eileen. Come on with your coming on. Linda Ockwell-Jenner, John Hendry, Steve Bentley with us on the Friday 4 Roundtable this morning. Final subject for us to tackle, what Prime Minister Carney, Linda Ockwell-Jenner's favorite person in the world today. She said that earlier this hour. Now we're going to find out if he's still that favorite person after he introduced, gave some hints to some legislation coming next week that will toughen sentences for repeat and violent offenders. It's going to make bail tougher to get. Linda, what do you think? What would you like to see in tough on crime legislation from your favorite person in the world?
Thank you. I'm a little bit worried whether it will cover what's happening recently in Kitchener, where evidently the police put a report out everywhere saying that a really dangerous offender had been let out on bail. They would be keeping an eye on him. There's all these rules and regulations, but then my brain starts thinking, hang on a minute, why is a really dangerous offender getting out, and why are we keeping an eye on him, and why are they telling us? And I'm thinking, I don't think the police had anything to do with this guy getting out and being on bail. I think other people make that decision. So I don't think that's right, because, you know, if you are a really dangerous offender, why are you in prison in the first place? How long have you been there? How long should you stay there? And yes, if you start being a better person and there's no risk to the public, but in this case, there's a big risk to the public. So I'd like the police to be very involved with Mark Carney's discussion and tell them what they think is good, because they have to police these people. And also the public should be involved in a big way, because if you go to prison for a reason and they let you out and we don't know why he's been let out, it's just like saying, well, it doesn't really matter what he did. He might do it again and then we'll put him back in prison. That's not good enough. So I've got faith that my favourite man in the world will sort this out, make some better rules, and we'll all be happy and safe.
John, what are you looking forward to in this legislation?
Well, I like it. I think everyone is sort of fed up with repeat offenders, but I think the legislation really doesn't go far enough. What I'd like to see is that everyone is allowed a second chance. I think everyone deserves a second chance. But if you violate that second opportunity, then I think that you should be restricted forever from having bail, and you should serve the full term of whatever the what do you call it, the sentence is, that you complete the entire sentence. I think there are people that really truly make mistakes, and they really do deserve a second chance, and maybe they won't be a repeat offender, but if they are, then that rewrites their history. They're done. They should be going to jail for their full term, and they should never be allowed bail again. So I think that's my opinion on it, but I like it. I mean, when I look at what's going on in the U.S. and I think of Canada, I mean, really, you'd almost think we don't have any crime at all here. But I think we have to be tough on it and try to make our lives, who don't get into trouble, just a little bit easier.
I think you hit on something that is really at the heart of this, John, and that is the idea that I would argue we as Canadians generally do hold, that one mistake should not taint you forever and ever. Amen. So we have this baked into our system, the allowance for, recovery from, rehabilitation from that single mistake. But many would argue today that we have put too much of a focus on that and not enough of a focus on, okay, well, how many times do you repeat that mistake before we finally crack down? And it sounds like that's where we're headed. Steve Bentley, what would you be looking forward to in tougher on crime legislation next week?
First thing I'm going to say is, Linda, I thought your favorite man in the world was Dave, but we'll leave that there. You know what? I think we're picking up a lot of pieces here. This has been something that's been talked about in government for many years. And I think what Mark Carney and the Liberals are trying to do is trying to address something he promised to initially address when he got elected. I think there's still a lot more to do. I think in terms of Linda's comment about public consultations, consulting with the police and how that, these are things that they're introducing, and there's a process for that to happen. But I still think the word justice means that we look at people who commit an error, first time, only time, do whatever they're sentenced to do, but respect the fact that that doesn't mean they're going to be a repeat offender. But we need to look at some of the more, conditional things here in terms of like the serving consecutive sentences side by side, which I've never understood. And the Supreme Court had something to say about that as well. And certainly, what I think they're trying to do is look at addressing the weaker side of the justice system for people who are violent offenders, people who are repeat offenders, people in terms of it closing in, I wouldn't necessarily say terrorism, but in terms of that kind of activity. And they have a consistent history of it. I really was starting to think about the bail consideration, having the person who is being charged prove why he should be able to go on bail. And I read a little more into this article. Now I can understand exactly where they're coming from, right? They aren't saying that collectively. They're saying in very certain situations, they have to prove why they should be getting bail. And I think we give bail a little too much. There was a discussion on the radio yesterday about sexual predators who are serving some of their sentences in their home, or get conditional sentences, or really don't get. And I'm talking about people who have offended and are reoffenders. And I think we need to be tough on that, right? If you get sentenced to 25 years in jail and you're a repeat offender, then I think that's what you should be serving. Now, I think the other thing, too, is you look at John's comment about 2 times. They have that in the States in terms of the 3 strikes. So I think we need to go somewhere in that direction, because, we want to be fair. If people offend and it's the first time and we see that this is something that just shouldn't have happened and they agree, then we need to make sure that we, punish, but at the same time, respect the fact that there's some people that things happen in their lives and things need to be addressed, but that doesn't mark them as that category for the rest of their life, right? So we need to be fair. And I think we're trying to clean up and tie up some pieces, but I think there's probably going to be more coming as the tenure for the Liberals continues. But right now, he needed to address that he was going to do something, and he has. And this is, I think, a good start.
We will be listening with interest next week as this legislation is introduced. And speaking of weeks ahead, Steve, thank you for mentioning earlier the big house party for Habitat for Humanity. That's coming up on the 29th, which is a couple of Wednesdays from now. You are welcome to join us at the museum in downtown Kitchener. Linda, John, anyone else. And maybe I'll supply the beer. And we'll have a Friday 4 roundtable or bigger than 4 at the event that night. We'll have a lot of fun. Steve Bentley, Managing Principal, Northern River Financial. Linda Ockwell, Jenner, President, MotivationalSteps.com. And John Hendry, professional speaker, author, and retired public school board trustee. Thank you very much for making time in your day for our show. Enjoy the weekend ahead. Go Jays, go Rangers.
Thank you.
And Leafs.
Rangers.
And Leafs. All right. We're going to get you an update from the 570 News Center and then Free Phones Friday. Open lines for you coming up on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. Oh, that's a way back playback on this All Request Friday. One Hit Wonders edition. Walk Away Renee, taking us back to 1966. That's by request from Conservative Charlie. Now, it depends on one's definition of a hit, I suppose. Walk Away Renee was a top 10. In fact, it reached number 5 on the charts. They did have a follow-up called Pretty Ballerina that was a top 20, but I think Walk Away Renee can count as one-hit wonder material from, here's my favorite part, this coming from Conservative Charlie. That was his request. The band is The Left Bank. I didn't think anything in Charlie's house went left. He's Conservative Charlie. Everything's right. Right said Fred. I'm surprised he didn't request that one. Anyway, it's All Request Friday, One Hit Wonders edition. As we continue Free Phones Friday, getting your opinions on the issues of the day. Philip, you are next. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I'm feeling really old and cranky today. So,
I love it. You might be like me. Okay, I'm ready.
Brace yourselves, folks. Contradictions of policies. Municipal governments, provincial, federal governments say, here's what we're going to do, but we're going to do something differently. Remember the LRT going in, and what was the big thing? We're building up, not out. So years ago, remember Rim Park was built long before an LRT. So we were told everything's going to happen along an LRT. What happens in the last year? A big land acquisition for industrial land out in the boonies. The biggest rec center to be built ever in the city of Kitchener. Where is it? Williamsburg. There's never going to be an LRT out there. Why didn't we put, we got Bud Park, Lear Seagler, all that area, which is basically a ghost town with train tracks, not being used for, for industrial. We bought farmland. So it's just the saying of we're going to build up, not out. Build us $1 billion LRT, but don't build along it. It's just it's one of those things that on a cloudy day when you're 62 years old, it just gets you going, Mike.
Well, no, you know what I think got you going, Phil, was that dip in the lake last weekend for Thanksgiving. That must have been cold water, my friend.
That was supposed to be a cleansing thing, but it didn't work. I'm still angry.
All right, Phil, thanks for the call. Nice to hear from you. I mean, I think I would say in response, you certainly can't build everything along the light rail transit corridor. Billions of dollars of development investment has occurred, just not that major rec center or the, I guess, Wilmot Land Assembly. But yeah, I take your point. And you're allowed to be old and cranky on this show. Heck, if you weren't allowed to be old and cranky on this show, I would not be hosting this show. Chris, oh no, Chris just disappeared on me as I answered the phone. He had to go. Nate is here, though. Good afternoon, Nate.
Can you hear me okay?
I love it when people start their calls that way.
Well, I have
what if I said no?
Well, then I guess I'd turn my speaker off.
Well, turn your speaker off anyway. Why am I on speaker?
Fine. I did.
Thank you. Why would you call me on speaker? Why even do that to me?
Just so there's my wife's here, and she wanted to hear your reply to some of my stuff. So let me get into it. I'm a little disappointed with your choice of song this morning. Not that it was because it was Meatloaf, but I thought your favorite one-hit wonder was Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba.
You want to call them a one-hit wonder on me?
Oh, is that why you think
No. You know what? I knew I broke the theme. I couldn't resist the serendipity of 2 out of 3 ain't bad, considering my sports night.
Yes, it's okay. That's fine.
Okay.
I was really surprised because I know that you love that album.
I do love What You See Is What You Get was the follow-up, but Tub Thumping by Chumbawamba, unreal. Loved it.
Okay, Oktoberfest, first time going last night, and it was pretty good. The schnitzel was good.
It was pretty good? Nate, how old a gentleman are you?
I'm your age, 53.
Okay, and it was your first time Oktoberfesting?
Yes.
What the hell's the matter with you?
Usually big crowds of drunk people I don't really like too much.
Oh, disco polka and chicken dance and have a schnitzel on a bun.
It was all fun. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
There you go.
I think the only thing that went wrong was at the end of the night leaving to get a cab. There's no one there kind of watching who's doing what because a couple of young jackwagons decided they're just going to cut right in front of the line. And, that wasn't happening.
Oh, Nate threw down like a 53-year-old. I like it.
No, actually, my wife did, and
Perfect.
a couple other people, and I just went and got in the cab and looked at them and waved and smiled as we pulled away. But that was the only thing. It was great. So, maybe 9.5 out of 10.
Okay.
The band was amazing.
Was it the Black Forest Band?
Yeah,
of course. Yes.
Wow. I couldn't believe some of the songs they were ripping out. It was pretty cool.
There you go.
I'll definitely go again.
All right, Nate.
Have a great weekend and go Jays.
Go Jays, go. I love to hear. 53 years old, goes to Oktoberfest for the first time. Yeah, it was pretty good. You think? The festival's only been going on longer than you've been alive. It's a very good festival, always to be enjoyed. Paul from Preston, Free Phones Friday, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Just Walk Away, Renee, did you ever hear the remake on that song?
Did somebody from the right bank sing it?
A couple of Canadians put it together as a different type of a song. It went, just drive away, Renee, you won't find me underneath your car. Do you know what the reference is?
Drive away. No, I don't.
You don't. Oh, see, you're too young. That's the problem.
Oh, I love it. Keep calling me young, Paul. Keep it up.
Rennie Levesque got drunk.
Oh my
lost his glasses and went for a little drive and ran over some derelict and left them laying on the road.
Wow.
That's going way, way back.
That's good old Canadian humor right there.
Yeah, McLean and McLean.
All right, Paul. Thank you. You too. Okay, so that was Paul from Preston. He's the original Prestonian Paul. But if you've listened to this show for more than a minute, you might know that we have inherited, because he used to listen to another local radio station. But when that radio station changed and he didn't like it anymore, he came over here. So we have a Preston Paul as well. I know your mind might be blown as much as mine was when the Steelers lost last night. We just heard from Paul from Preston. Preston Paul will be next, and there's a line open for you if you want to participate in Free Phones Friday today on the Mike Farwell Show. 570 News Radio and Rogers TV.
You and I in a little toy shop, buy a bag of balloons with the money we've got, set them free at the break of dawn, till one by one they were gone. Back at base, box in the software, flash the message, something's out there, floating in the summer sky. 99 red balloons go by.
Now hang on just a second there, Jen Tan. our board operator for the show today. I thought you said you got 99 Luft balloons. That sounded like red to me. Luft came before red in this particular case, the Germanized version, in honor of Oktoberfest. But Ron wanted to hear some Nina here on this All Request Friday One Hit Wonders edition. Can it be a one-hit wonder if Luft balloons and red balloons both charted, 99 of them? I'm not sure, but either way, there is your one-hit wonder this time. We only got one. I think we have one more we can play before the end of the show. Whatever will it be? All Request Friday, One Hit Wonders edition. Noon to 1, we also open the phone lines so we can hear directly from you on Free Phones Friday. We heard from Paul from Preston a moment ago. Now it's Preston Paul's turn. Mind blowing right there. Hi, Paul.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, thanks. Especially after last night's game.
Oh,
you remember when I told you, you and Ian, that Max Scherzer for $15 million was worth every single cent?
I'll tell you what. I was feeling that, and Vladdy. What more would you want to say about him? Like, those two contracts look amazing right now.
Yeah, it's good. And that when Schneider came out to talk to him, it was priceless. I'm telling you, just watching Scherzer saying, "I got this. I got this."
So good.
And another thing, I'm old enough. I'm older than you. That I remember the Pittsburgh Steelers used to be called the Steel Curtain. They're more like a shower curtain.
Listen here. Be nice to me now.
Well, I thought I'd get a dig in. No. Anyways, you have a good time tonight, and go Rangers go, and go Jays go.
Love hearing from you, Paul. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
All right, enjoy your day. Preston Paul, Farwell's Force member number 45, called yesterday, said, how are you going to handle this sports night? Will your mind literally explode? Leafs, Steelers, Blue Jays. Those are my three favorite professional teams. My absolute favorite sports team is the Kitchener Rangers, period. Hands down, no argument, no question. Number one with a bullet, our Kitchener Rangers. But I had the Leafs winning in overtime. I had the Blue Jays winning big, of course, and then my Steelers could not. He's right. They looked like a shower curtain defense last night. Could not stop those Bengals. And we lost on a last-second field goal, we being the Pittsburgh Steelers. I did love that Blue Jays game, though, for so many reasons. And I wish now, of course, hindsight being 2020, I had posted on social media what I wanted to post on social media. And I can verify this. My beloved will back me up because I said it to her at dinner when she asked how I was feeling about the game. And I said, I've just got such a good feeling about Max Scherzer tonight. What I wanted to post on social media is that Max Scherzer was going to find the fountain of youth. He's going to have a throwback performance. And sure, it wasn't a complete game shutout or anything, but how good was Max Scherzer last night? And that visit to the mound from Blue Jays manager John Schneider, I mean, this is the stuff, it's already making waves. But if the Blue Jays continue on their current path and something even more magical happens, this will be something that will be remembered forever. Bottom line is, it was the fifth inning, and Max Scherzer was not going to come out of the game when Blue Jays manager John Schneider came out of the dugout to talk to him.
It was a big moment in the game right there. It was just a situation I was going through it in my head. I understood where the game state was, knew how I wanted to attack, and then all of a sudden I saw Schneider coming out, and I kind of went, whoa. Like, I'm not coming out of this ball game. Like, I feel too good. And so we had a little conversation that basically I wanted to stay in the ball game, but just with some other words involved. But, you know, I just knew I was strong. I knew I wanted the ball. I knew I could get outs in this situation, and I just wanted to stay in. I wanted.
I've been waiting for that all year, for Max to yell at me on the mound. I was joking with him. You know, I've been waiting for that moment since our Zoom call in the offseason before we signed him. Loved it. There's a little more of that in between to send him back out for the 6th, too. Talking about how we don't talk to him when he's starting. I definitely talked to him, and that was another fun conversation in the tunnels. Yeah, it was awesome. I thought he was going to kill me. It was great. You know, he locked eyes with me, both colors, as I walked out. And it's not fake. That's the thing. It's not fake. You know, he has this Mad Max persona, but he backed it up tonight. The infielders had a good laugh, too, out there, and he got the job done.
When Max feels strong, he knows the situation. Just let Max pitch. And he did, 5 2/3. 1 run when he left, 2 runs when he left. Either way, great outing for Scherzer. Big win for the Blue Jays. And that series with Seattle is now tied. Love the drama. Just love it. Kyle, you're on Free Phones Friday. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Well, let's put it this way first. Oktoberfest is never less than a 20 out of 10. Polka music
It's like my Christmas music.
Yes, I realize this.
The other thing is in the Max Scherzer, you know what he said? Let's go, baby. Let's go. Okay, Blue Jays, let's play ball. Let's go, baby. Bring it on tonight. I'm excited. Go, Jays, go. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Kyle. Some people say I have a lot of energy. I don't know where Kyle gets it from, but we are feeling that Blue Jays spirit today. I know that for sure. Elena, good afternoon. You're on Free Phones Friday.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
This is my first time calling.
Your first time calling?
Yes. I'm wondering right now if my dad can hear me on the other end because he often plays the station.
Well, your dad just became my favorite dad in all of Waterloo region. That's fantastic. Why are you calling today?
I was calling actually because earlier today you made a comment about who cares about the train station situation thing that's been going on.
Yeah.
I'd just like to say that the youth are very, very, very excited around this. Like, I'm 17 at the moment, and I'm going to be 18 very soon. And when I turn 18, I would like to go to a casino, and there are none in this area that are particularly good. So I asked my mom, and she's like, well, we could probably go down to Toronto. And I was like, but that's such a long drive. So now I'm listening to the radio, and I'm like, oh, there's a new train station that there's going to be like lines from Kitchener to Toronto. And it's like, that's perfect because by the time I turn 18, I'm going to be able to just take the train.
So listen, Elena, I love this, and you had me at casino. I like to lay the occasional wager myself, but you better double check. Don't you have to be 19 to get in? Because they serve booze in there. I might be wrong. But
You might have to be 19. I'm not 100% sure.
So why are you so interested in a trip to the casino?
Well, recently I've actually had a very good luck streak. So I had predicted that the first two games for the Blue Jays, they weren't going to win because, one, they were very, I guess, overwhelmed with the situation. Like, holy crap, they made it to the finals, and it's been, a couple of years since they got to make it to this stage. So I was like, well, I highly doubt they're going to win at least the first game. And then my second guess was more or less just a guess. Third time, I just didn't guess at all, but they won. Second time, I didn't guess, but I figured that they were going to lose because my friend, he was at the game, and he's just a terrible luck charm.
He's bad luck.
100%. And in fact, they did lose. So was not surprised. And then I think, was it yesterday's game that they won?
It was.
Yeah, I had a guest. My sister, she was whatchamacallit. She was saying how she's very excited, but she's worried that they aren't going to win. And I was like, no, they're going to win. And lo and behold, I didn't even watch the full game. I only watched part of it. Fell asleep before I could even finish it, and boom, I wake up and they won.
There you go.
My luck streak has been on a roll.
Just remember, Elena, take it from somebody with a little bit of casino experience, okay?
Okay.
Don't chase your losses.
Yes.
When you get there, if things don't go well, just pack up and go home, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, great to hear from you on the show. Thanks for calling today, and tell your dad he's the greatest.
Of course. I'll probably call back again sometime.
I look forward to that.
All right. Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
I only hope that Elena, when the trainer is ready for her to go to Toronto, that she needs to go at the time that the train will run. And I only say this because they haven't announced the schedule, okay? But if I'm correct, it's a couple of trains Saturday, a couple of trains Sunday. Well, that's what we have every day now. And the trains go out like 7-something and 9-something in the morning, and they come back at, 4-something and 6. I don't know all the time. But 2 trains out in the morning, 2 trains back at night. It's not exactly convenient for somebody that's working a job, right? Because you gotta get to the train station really early just to try to get to Toronto by 9 o'clock. I'm looking at the typical 9 to 5, but you get what I'm saying. There's not enough trains, and they don't run at convenient enough hours to make it worthwhile. And as I said earlier, if you want to go to a Blue Jays game, but the train is leaving Kitchener at 9 o'clock on Saturday morning, so now you're in Toronto at 11 o'clock on Saturday morning, sure, you can fill your time until the Blue Jays game starts at 4 And then after the game, when's the train coming back? Because if it's coming back at 6:30, you might have to leave the game early or something like that. I know. But Elena, I'm so glad that youthful optimism and enthusiasm instead of a cranky old cynic like me. We need more of that on this show. So keep it up. And don't forget, your dad is awesome because he listens to this station. It's the Mike Farwell Show. Free Phones Friday continues on 570 News Radio and Rogers TV. We are finishing All Request Friday, One Hit Wonders edition with a flourish. That is the suddenly late, great Ace Frehley from the band Kiss when he was taking a hiatus from the band, doing some solo work, and had a one-hit wonder with New York Groove back in 1978. That's the kind of deep cut you get from Brian Allison, who's our good friend of the show and musicologist, who joins us Mondays, every Monday at 11 a.m. for a look at this week in music history. And this past Monday was Thanksgiving, so it's been 2 weeks since we've talked to Brian, but we'll talk to him on Monday, coming up after the weekend, with This Week in Music History, Monday morning at 11 a.m. That is New York Groove Ace Frehley. Rest in peace, buddy, from Kiss. But he was doing some solo work. Let's get back to Free Phones Friday, hearing from you on the show. Barbara, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mike. Go Jays! Oh, I'm so excited.
Everybody is, and rightly so.
Oh, man, I played competitive baseball growing up. My dad was an umpire. It is my sport. The only problem is I won't shut off the TV when the game ends. I got to watch the 2 hours worth of interviews.
Of course you
I'm
do.
not getting enough sleep. But not to change the subject to something more serious, but this is very serious. You've been talking for weeks now about the leaf collection by cities, which should be sunsetted because it's costly or whatever. Let me tell you something else about this. As you might imagine, the federal government over the last 8-10 years has been developing national standards that are the climate change era standards. One of those standards, and I've been involved in all of them, so I know a great deal about them. One of those standards, which CSA Z800, it's a national standard, says municipalities should not ask residents to rake their leaves to the street because it increases the risk of flooding. It is in a national standard. We should not be doing this anymore. The reason it increases the risk of flooding is when catch basins get clogged by leaves. If we get a bit of rain or freeze or whatever, it gets worse. That water can back up onto your property and into your basement. So there's all kinds of connections underground that that you don't necessarily know about. So this was published in a standard 7 or 8 years ago. When about 4 years ago, City of Waterloo was debating whether to get rid of this service, and I emailed the people because I really care about the world, and said, you know what, there's national standards saying you should not be doing this anymore. It increases risk of flood, and it's dangerous for cyclists, and as you know, I'm a cyclist. So I emailed Waterloo, Kitchener, and Cambridge, technical people that I know, and said, it's not recommended to do this anymore. And I just said to them, you've got an easy way to, it doesn't have to be political anymore. It's a national climate standard, and we can't do it anymore. Bingo, you save money on doing it, you reduce the risk of flood, make it easier for cyclists, and we could use that money, let's face it, Mike, on 100,000 other pressing needs in our community.
We certainly
There are
could.
national standards it should not be done anymore, and I let those municipalities know. Heaven forbid they listen to me, the national sewer expert. Go ahead.
We're gonna keep on them because they have to start listening to a national sewer expert like you or to a loudmouth like me. Okay.
Perfect. Between the two of us. All right. Have a great weekend, Mike.
Thanks,
Bye.
Barbara. You too. Stop collecting the leaves at the curbside. Stop it. I've got it pegged at over $1 million region wide. Easy. And don't even get me started with the heavy equipment climate emergency they say we're in. Have you ever seen this process get done? I think every councillor that's declared a climate emergency should go along on a ride-along when the leaves get collected. Look at all of the equipment that we've got out there, the big machines sputtering away, cleaning up the leaves at the side of the ding-dang road. What a goofy service it is. Oy. Irene, good afternoon. You're on Free Phones Friday.
Hi, Mr. Farwell. It's my first time calling, and I just wanted to say, I wonder if you have any pull at the odd. We are longtime Ranger season ticket holders, fans, supporters, but during the intermission, are they going to put the Blue Jay game on the Jumbotron so we can watch the Jays?
That is
I'm just saying, maybe you could ask around.
That's an excellent question. I see they get pretty busy during the intermissions with the things going on out on the ice and stuff. But you know what, Irene? Maybe I will see what I can do. I promise you that.
You are awesome, and I thank you for that. And have a lovely weekend, and go Rangers go.
Go Rangers go. Thank you, Irene. Enjoy your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's 2 first-time callers today.
Yes!
I love me some first-time callers. And, hey, Kitchener Rangers, I know you check in to make sure I'm saying nice things about you. I love you all, by the way. You look great today. How about it? How about some Blue Jays action on the video board at the game, huh? Intermissions? Wouldn't be a bad idea. Bob, you're on Free Phones Friday. Hello.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Bob. Bob. Listen, I'm going to put you on hold while you go turn down your radio, okay?
I just turned it down.
Oh, you should know better than this.
Sorry.
Okay.
I was going to say, a week or so ago, Dougie was saying he confronted a shoplifter.
Yes.
I wonder if he has his security with him when he did.
No, he didn't have his security with him. That was the whole story. That was the whole point.
Oh, okay, because I know if you work in the store, a lot of store owners say don't interfere with him, let him take it because you're worth more than
Bob. Did you hear the story at all? That's exactly what Doug Ford said. You got to go listen to the story, then call me back, okay? Please, just go listen to because Doug Ford said that very thing. He talked to the security guard at the store, said, "Sorry, I'm not supposed to chase them." And Doug Ford said he ditched his security detail and went shopping by himself. All of these details are already there. I know you want to slam on Doug Ford and anything conservative, but you should go listen to the story, then you call me back. Grant, Free Phones Friday to you.
First-time caller.
You are not a first-time caller, you goofball. Okay, but wait. Okay, just because you said that. Yes! There you go. That's for you.
I know. Yeah. Oh, Chuck Parsons. He did wonderful. Him and his partner in
Belleville with the Belleville Senators?
Yeah, and Miss Madison that does the play-by-play on Sportsnet, did you know that she was a heavy hitter with home runs with 44? So she's amazing.
Now you're talking about Madison Shipman on the Blue Jays broadcasts, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's amazing. Same as a young lady that did the London interviews. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not quite sure maybe that was Annie Stewart who did the Team of the Century documentary that's going to premiere next week at the Forest City Film Festival about the London Knights, maybe. But yes, Madison Shipman does great work on Blue Jays broadcasts on Sportsnet, and the Blue Jays are doing great work. We're going to keep our ears on the Blue Jays tonight, our ears on the Kitchener Rangers tonight, and we're all going to have a very Merry Christmas, aren't we? 6:30 pregame, Josh Piercy and I at the Memorial Auditorium. I'm looking forward to talking to you then. My name is Mike Farwell. You are a force for good. Bye for now.